Hi friends, I hope my screen is getting visible to you all.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
great.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Good to see you. I think this is SIDAC. Uh, both SIDAC centers are here, or one SIDAC centers here, people.
Two centers, sir. Khargar and Juhu.
Great. Thank you. I would be very happy to say that I think today I am going to complete one 360-degree of training conduction of SIDAC centers in Maharashtra. I did conduct a lot of trainings for all the SIDAC centers. Only these two centers were left, SIDAC Khargar and SIDAC Juhu, where I never conducted session. But I got opportunity to conduct the sessions for almost all SIDAC centers in Pune. And I'm very happy. Today, I am with you. And I hope this SDM session will help you much more comfortable for getting ready for the software development. I do understand this particular module is your last module. Am I right?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Yes, sir.
So definitely, if this is the last model, so you are totally deviated into things, getting into the CC exam preparation and also attending these sessions. So definitely, when this particular session is going on, suddenly you are thinking about, oh, I haven't prepared that advanced Java ka Spring Boot API. I still need to think about JP. And suddenly now this SDM session is going on. So how many of you are really going through this particular challenges?
I guess
I think
everyone.
okay. Last week I was busy with SIDAC Akudi, where I was conducting a .NET model session over there, and now we hear it, sir, going for SDM session. But let me tell you, this SDM session is something I will say it is your complete summary of your SIDAC course. I don't know whether you know these things very well or not, but it's actually your complete revision, I could say. I think this will give me opportunity to revise your SIDAC course as well and make you prepare for your CC exam. Because every topic of this SDM session, whatever normally you say, it is a part. If I could just share this particular screen with you all. Here's my document. Yeah. This is the syllabus I do have it with me. And under this syllabus, you will find, I think here it is talking about something called Introduction to Software Engineering. Then Introduction to Agile Methodologies. Then further, what is exactly microservices? Then what is exactly DevOps? Then further, what is exactly software testing? And further, it talks about something called your CI/CD pipeline. So I think we have almost 10, 11, 12, 39, 14. That is almost we are having 5 days, and under this particular 5 days, we would like to understand this all kind of concept through practically as well as through theoretically. But most of the time, we always assume this particular SDM session would have been a theoretical session. Some of you might have done their engineering from computer science, or some of you might have completed your MCA, correct? No, some of you might have done your MCS or BCS. During that time, this particular software engineering sessions, I think software engineering subject would have been there, if I'm not wrong. Is it right? Yes.
Yes, sir.
And I think that particular session was something like a session where we could sleep very well, where we could prepare these things by our own by reading the content. So that session, whether we pay attention or we don't pay attention, that will not make any sense. And even though you try like that way, but still your highest score might have been in a software engineering, if I'm not wrong. Have you experienced that?
Yes,
A lot
sir.
of models would have been there, a lot of models would have been there. And this model also would have been there, software engineering model. And you might observe you have very good kind of score in software engineering, even though you paid less in that session. Great. I think that was the academic part. And here it is actually what we talk about, getting ready for the industry. And whenever you get ready for the industry, so during that time, we really need to understand how in this particular world, these software engineering principles would have been used and how these things would have been taken place. Okay? So my job is to make you comfortably through programmatic way, how this thing can be carried out. I hope you are using GitHub. Yes?
Yes,
You're
yes.
using GitHub. There might be few sessions would have been conducted by your trainers about GitHub, how to use, how to create your own repositories, how to create the branches of that repositories, how to merge and how to use in a day-to-day life that particular GitHub repositories. Can someone help me? Geeta?
No, sir, I don't remember exactly.
Okay, no problem. Anyone? Arif? Arif, you have any idea?
No,
Arif,
sir.
Sheikh?
No, sir.
Okay, no problem, no problem. But do you have your GitHub account, first of all?
Yes, sir.
Great.
Yes,
Are you using that GitHub account?
Sir, yes, we are using, but through the browsers.
Yes,
No
sir.
problem. That's okay. You're using through at least see whether you use this GitHub account through your browser or whether you use by using command line. I think that doesn't make sense. You are doing some kind of contribution that is most important. I'm just going to help you here. Our session where I like to take software engineering, but definitely I like to conduct the software engineering not the way in a college been taught, but I like to teach this particular software engineering from the perspective of the companies, so that as soon as you leave this particular CDAC course and go through your campus drive, you will be very easily absorbed by the industry, where you can find my students are perfectly using this GitHub and Jira tool, and might be something called Docker, might be using something called like a Jenkins tool, or might be Git actions for doing the day-to-day activities. Okay, please have a look here. Let me just use a Chrome browser here. Yeah, here's my Chrome browser. I think through that way, I will also introduce myself. Okay, so my intention, I would like to introduce myself as well as I like to make you comfortable with the topic. And I'd like to say that how this GitHub and how these tools we use it in day-to-day life. For example, let me just go back and try to click here something called Ravi Tamade. So I have almost more than 25 years of experience in teaching as well as in development. And I still remember somewhere in 1999, I used to come to CDAC MET, Bandra, for conducting sessions for VC++. So from that day onwards, I think that association with the CDAC got developed very well. And that just went, and that's still going on. I'm really enjoying. So this is my profile. Okay, I think my face might have been totally changed. Might be. But could you see what is the first link here? When someone try to search for Ravi Tamade. So does it show Instagram? Does it show Facebook? What do you think?
No, it's
I think
GitHub.
it directly goes to the GitHub. So any reason? I think might be this GitHub repository would have been used by a lot of students, or might be Ravi Tamade's GitHub repository has been used by a lot of other developers to check the code. Might be that is the reason. Let me just go back and access my repository. Think this would be your repository. Okay, I'm telling you, just think this is a Ravi Tamade's photo, but think that will be your photo. Here is your photo. It is very short information about yourself. Very short information about your, okay, your perspective towards your work, right? And second thing, you try to explain the kind of languages, the kind of tools you use in your day-to-day life. Correct? And at the same time, if you just look around, I think might be some kind of articles, might be some kind of achievements related to code and all those things. And might be here, can you see a lot of repositories are here? There are a lot of repositories are there. And one of the great thing which you might like, where to get this? Can someone tell me what is this? What this particular green dots are shown to you? Dark green, light green, pale green.
Uses.
That means how you daily or how you are pushing content to the repository. Am I right? So that means how you are contributing, adding some code in these repositories. And that is trying to tell us what is your frequency of doing some kind of contribution in your own GitHub repository regarding the code. And might be you can find this is going 2023, then 2022, then 2023, then 2024. That is going on. I think mostly the July month I was busy with conducting sessions, so that's why I couldn't make any particular updates. Let me just go back and try to show some repositories. What is the role of GitHub repositories in your life? Can somebody tell me? Why we should use GitHub repositories and why we should keep some data over here? Any reason? Someone? Rishikesh?
So it is a system
Um,
that keeps track of our code or projects.
Okay, good. You know, we always go back and try to access key. I want to know about Ravi Tamde. So you always go back and try to type in Ravi Tamde and you get your LinkedIn profile, correct? No? You access a LinkedIn profile and you will have your own LinkedIn profile. And this is the information. Professional network is used and you explain about yourself. You want to represent yourself as a professional and about this, your all information has been kept inside. Things are there. So normally people always try to create LinkedIn profile. I hope most of you have your LinkedIn profile. Am I right? Mostly to get a job, we always try to keep a LinkedIn profile. And we always try to connect with our colleague or might be with your seniors to get some lead. Correct, no? Like that way. Good. And if I really go back and try to access your something like Facebook, then I think that is what something which I like to share with my friends. So definitely I like to stay connected with my friends. That's why I always love to share some videos, some my memories, some good thing which I come across. So I use Facebook as a social networking site. I use LinkedIn as a professional networking site. Okay. And I use LinkedIn. I use GitHub as a portal where I could promote myself as a developer. And during that time, I try to create multiple repositories. Could you get there are a lot of repositories available? I hope you also have a topic, something called .NET, correct? No? So can you get there's a .NET repository been kept here? So anything related to the .NET, you want to know about it. So the .NET related contains the .NET related stuff, something which you talk about, like if I would have conducted training for day 1, day 2, day 3, and during that time I use certain small demos for making those concepts clear. So during that time, we always go back and try to create this particular repository. Under that repository, we write our logic. Our logic we try to put here. And that is the kind of file we always push it here. And that is what exactly the code you really see. I hope you find this code is familiar.
yes.
You learn .NET. That is called ASP.NET MVC, no, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
You use ASP.NET framework or you use ASP.NET core during your .NET session?
ASP.NET Core.
Very good.
Core.
Fantastic. Core, that is core we use. So why I'm just trying to tell you, because in that area, we find that the GitHub, we use it for pushing our content so that tomorrow, during the time of campus interview, I think there are chances nowadays companies don't understand whether you're good at coding or not just within 5 or 10 minutes of interaction. If you are going through your aptitude test, if you're going through your group discussion round, and then you also created some problem solving technique test also. So during that time might be out of 100, there are 25 candidates has been selected. And out of the 25 candidates, now I like to shortlist something called, let us say 10. So in that case area, I think the companies wanted to test whether you are really ready for the coding or not. They always ask you question, do you have your GitHub repositories? Can you tell me what are the kind of code you normally push inside? Have you created certain project? Can you show me your project which is created and push on your repository? I think that time it really becomes easier for us to showcase our coding skill using this GitHub repository. And this is the repository normally always keep us updated with all kind of contents. Now, if this is the repository, you already have it here, and they will ask you a question. Now, this is the ASP.NET application, might be Java application, JSP servlet application that you wanted to show by running on a machine. Then how do you do it? One thing, interview will ask you a question. Do you have your own GitHub repository? Yes. Second question, do you have the repository, okay, which contains your project? Yes. Second thing, can I see the code base? What is the word I use? Code base. Now, what does it mean you have code base? Code base means the complete source code of that project I like to see. And whatever project you normally see, the project has been properly organized in the form of folders. The code which has been really represented by using folder structure. There's a proper naming convention given. Proper variables are used. Okay, nowhere we are using A, B, C, D, A1, A2 like a variables, but we are giving some kind of meaningful names for those particular code. And like that way, we are trying to reorganize our content. So what I want to tell you, I think that is the kind of thing where we can showcase our knowledge through GitHub repositories. So this GitHub repositories content, you always have it here. We can always push, you can do all those things. But the next question comes, is it possible for you to take this repository and deploy this repository? And how do you deploy this repository? And how do you show this repository is really working? And I can access through my mobile phone. Because throughout your 6 months of course, you are focused more on the coding, correct? No? So you learn object-oriented programming concepts, you learn conditional statements, you learn services, you learn web API, you learn MVC, you did all kind of stuff, but that help you to build a web application. But what about how this web application will be deployed? Where this web application will be deployed? I think that is something which we are going to add it, or we are going to add it inside this particular SDM session. The syllabus of the SDM session, if you just look around, it focuses on that area. That's why I said, if this SDM session would have been covered, I think you will be able to see that you can deploy your Java application or .NET application on a production environment. Okay, so these all those things practically we would like to see inside this area. So first, before going with this whole kind of things, I would like to take the liberty from your side, because having the topics in a sequence and conducting a topic with the understanding level of the student, I think that really makes a difference. Am I right? Because sometimes if you take the topic according to the book style, so during that time, you get a feeling that our syllabus is getting covered, but there is nothing we are getting inside this area. But the same kind of topic would have been organized according to the understanding level of the students, and each and every topic is getting covered. I think we find there's an effective learning going on in this whole area. Correct, no? So I like to use this freedom from your side. Can I use that particular liberty? Definitely, this is the kind of topics I've been covered a lot of times. So definitely we'll go for this thing itself. Would be okay? Great. So let's come back and focus on the first area, that is something called software engineering. Now, definitely the software engineering topic, whenever I'm talking about, that means I am not going to go in a more theoretical way, but in a different way itself. Correct, no? So I'm using certain tool here. I have OneNote. You want me to keep my camera on, or if required, I can switch off my camera as well? What do you think? What is your perspective? I think it looks good if a trainer is going to keep his camera on. At least we feel that we're in actual classroom, correct, no? Good. Chalo, no worries. I try to keep the camera on, correct? At least that will give the feeling that we are actually in an actual classroom, not just in an online classroom. At least that will give a feeling, yeah, Ravi sir is staring at me. That means I should not sleep. He's watching me. That kind of feeling you'll have it. Very good. Coming to the point. Software. I think this kind of word, we always use it, and we get a word called engineering. You develop your application using Java. You have written a lot of Java files. These all Java files you kept in a folder, and that really become your Java project. Am I right? Yes, I think that was your Java project. This Java project, you wanted to run it. So I think we use some kind of tool here. How do you run the Java project? I think we cannot directly run Java project, because Java project is totally going to contain source code, no? If I'm not right. Yes. Yeah, it is a source code. It cannot run by its own. So what do you really require Java application to run? Number one, I think that complete Java code need to be first go through the process. That process is called as a build process. Correct, no? It is actually we call as a build process. What do you mean by build process? What do you think? You can use microphone as well. I would be very happy if this session will be more interactive. You are also speaking, I'm also speaking, so that we'll have perfect exchange of information. What does the meaning of build process? Yeah.
Compilation of the source code in the executable code.
Very good. That means we normally talk about under the build process, we can have a compilation Any other thing? Sometimes it could be linking, linking, compilation, might be further. Accordingly, we will have our corresponding application getting created in the form of like a .less files. Yes. And we wanted to make this application deployed in a deployable format. So then what is the next thing? I think if you really want to make this application deployable, you might use certain tool and you convert that particular code in the form of jar files, no? Yes.
Yes.
Jar files, Java archive files, if I'm not wrong, where your .less files has been compressed together and a file is become like a small file, which we can really deploy to any particular environment. Okay, jar file is created, my application is created. Might be this my application's online e-commerce application. And now this application, I really want to run it. I really want to run this application. Now, what is really required in this situation? Could you guess?
Environment to run.
Very good. We will require execution environment, no? Yes.
Yes.
Definitely, we will require a execution environment. But nowadays, whenever we come across this execution environment, no, people ask you question: do you really require a dev environment? Do you require a test environment? You really require? Can you guess?
Production environment.
Very good. Production environment. Production environment. One thing you observe, whether it's a developer environment, whether it's a testing environment, or whether it's a production environment, most of the three things environments, we really require the execution environment. Correct, no? If I'm not wrong. So if I talk about it's an execution environment, if it is Java application, and if it's your online application might have been created using Spring MVC, and you also use something like a Hibernate, you might have used JPA, or you might have used certain web API created by using Spring Boot APIs, and you might have used your React.js for making a front end. Now you tell me, if you really want to make this application execution environment, then what is really required? What is the execution environment normally should contain? Could you guess?
Runtime
Yes.
environments for Java. That's JRE.
Okay. JRE. Only JRE?
JVM actually. Interview.
Only JVM? If this is a web application, then what is really required? On the top of Windows, you need to install some operating system on some kind of server, no?
Yes.
Did you use Tomcat server?
Yes.
Yes. Tomcat.
Tomcat server is a .NET. Tomcat, is it a Java kind of application, or is it the application created using C, C++, which is capable of hosting your Java applications? Do you know?
It's C++.
Yes, very good. That means we find on the top of execution environment, we normally say that we will have something called as an operating system. Correct, no? On the operating system, we will have our server. Tomcat. On the Tomcat, now you are going to host your Java application. Now you use a word called JRE, correct, no? And on the top of JRE, JRE stands for, it consists of your JVM and everything, correct, no? And base class levels like that way. Then on the top of, you'll have your own kind of your jar files. For example, you require those all kind of Maven dependencies, no? जितने भी सारी applications की dependencies है, there's all kind of dependencies would have been there here. Dependencies. And on the top of the dependencies, then you really have your own Java application, which is totally in a executable format. Okay, no? Executable format means what I'm trying to do. It is totally in the form of like a jar files. Correct, no? And you may have certain static folder created, which might be containing your React folder. React, correct? Which will have your single page application, and that has been deployed. we call that is nothing but my environment is created, correct? No? So don't think whatever programming we have done up till now, I think there's some kind of like a proper steps are there. This properly discipline is there. There's a proper approach is used. My dear friend, this is the approach. This is the plan. This is the sequence. Actually, we really call as a software engineering. That is what exactly I normally convey to my students. Yes, we do understand software engineering is a process, correct? No? People talk about software engineering is a process. Now, what is the meaning of process? Some kind of information, some kind of work to be carried out in a certain process. That is what we have just seen. Now I'm coming across here inside this environment. This is my execution environment. That is what I'm talking about. Now I'm asking a question. If you just focus on developer environment, what do you get? Developer environment. I really want to show you something here important. Here we have a developer environment. It's a dev environment. Sorry. It's a dev environment. Here is a testing environment. Our SDM is totally on this area. Testing environment. And here we have our environment. That is the environment we really talk about something called production environment. Production environment. We have 3 environments. Does that mean these 3 environments are used by the same person?
No.
Can I say developers use developer environment? Yes.
Yes.
Testers use testing environment. Testers use testing environment. And what about this? Production environment?
It's for the end users.
Okay.
When our
Does-
server is deployed and that someone is using our services.
Okay. Does that mean I would say now you are using Amazon.com site and Amazon.com site online shopping applications deployed on a production environment? That means, does that mean you want to purchase so you have access to the production environment?
No, sir.
That means you perfectly said your end users will use your website, which is hosted on production environment, correct? No? But who is responsible for managing that production environment?
DevOps.
Very good. I think the word people use called DevOps. And I'll put that word in a very simple way, which is nothing but operations. Operations. Suddenly we just come across on what you call DevOps, correct? No? Ops stands for operations. And Dev stands for development. That means this is such a kind of team who is actually sitting in between operations team and the development team. And let the developers will do all kind of work. They will give the software and the software will be made available to the operations team. And they might use some kind of automation. And that automation people normally call as a CI/CD pipeline, continuous integration, continuous delivery pipeline, which is nothing but the process setup for making your application deployable to the production environment. So that is what we call as an operations engineer. Good. So whatever words we really required for our SDM session, we're just getting ourselves introduced. Correct? No? It's exactly same thing. Whenever you want to play any game, you should know the position of each and every player. And if you know the position of each and every player, then we know now how do I pass this ball. So same thing, actually, it should go for your learning as well. So whenever I want to learn this whole kind of concept, I should know what are the kind of terminologies, what are the kind of keywords, how do I use it, and how do I take it here? Okay. And that is what exactly I like to access. Correct? So I just focus here, operations team. Okay. Operations team, testers team, and developers team. Now you tell me, that's okay. What developers require? On developers tool, what are the developer tools you all require? I think you require IDE. If I'm not, you will require IDE. Might be you're using Eclipse. Yes. Are you using Eclipse for Java? Or you're using some
Yes, sir.
Java Beans, NetBeans, something?
No,
Yeah.
Eclipse.
No, sir.
Eclipse.
Achha, you use Eclipse. So use Eclipse tool. Any other tool you use apart from this development perspective? Did we also use some kind of tool like a Postman?
Yes, sir.
I think Postman is a tool we use for testing our web API, if I'm not wrong, correct, no?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
So Postman, ID, you will require here something called like another tool, package manager. Package manager, could you guess? Did you come across something called NPM command during
Yes,
your
sir.
Node.js learning?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, yes, sir.
And did you come across something called Nugget package manager in .NET?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Yes,
And
sir.
did you come across something called Maven in Java?
Yes, sir.
I think we call them as a dependency resolvers, no?
Mm.
So to do some development, you require certain libraries to be resolved. So we have to use such a tool which will help me to download those dependencies, and I would be able to build my project on the top of it here. So you require package manager tool, you require Postman, you require ID tool. And along with that, we will also require some kind of extra thing. That is what I really call here as what? SCM. Can you guess what would be the full form of SCM? Just guess. M stands for manager. C stands for control. Now, at least can you tell me for S? Control manager and S.
Okay.
Source control manager. What is the word used? Source control manager. Source control manager is nothing but your version dependency management software. I think that is what we use Git and GitHub. Okay, no? So we all are developers working on different machines. So one developer is actually now, let us say we all are working from home. So we all are working from home. We are using our own machine. So everybody is working on the same project. Correct. So you have been given certain tasks. This developer has been given certain tasks. Developer has been given certain tasks. But whatever work they are doing, I think that all kind of work should be actually pushed somewhere at the centralized repository over the internet. So every company use some kind of software for managing their source control. So here I'm just trying to show you, this is what exactly your source control management software. So this would be your GitHub. Now we know hub itself tells us it's a centralized place, correct? No? We always learn this word hub word in networking. Hub, switch, router. So hub means centralized place. GitHub. It is a kind of source control which is open source given by Linux Foundation, okay, no, which is allowing us to maintain number of repositories here. Just now I shown certain repositories. Out of that, there are certain repositories. Yes, there are certain repositories. We call them it, people can use it here. Have you observed when you just try and come back and see this particular repository on my machine? If you just come across and just type here GitHub. GitHub. You have a lot of repositories. If there are a lot of repositories available, you can find these repositories are sometimes shown public. You get common services public, TFL.NET public. But have you seen something here? I think this repository has been private. Might be some other repositories. Private. Might be these repositories also contain some kind of content which I don't want to make it publicly available. So we say these repositories are private repositories. So company maintain certain repositories public for a lot of people can see. Open source projects, we say. But if the project which is making your revenue generation, and we don't want your competitor will use that particular repository just to compete you, I think that time we make that repository as a private repository. So I'm coming back. So here I will have certain repositories which are public repositories, or I'll have certain repositories which are private repositories. I think this whole kind of environment, you will normally have it within this particular developer's machine. Okay, so we say it's a developer environment. So the developer, just by sitting at this particular machine, okay, he may be able to pull content on his machine, and local repository will contain the same code. So on your machine, you will maintain that code. So whatever code is available here, I want to work on that code. You use some kind of command like a git pull, and that command data will just take you everything on this machine. And once this data is available here itself, okay, your job is keep working on a machine, do some development. This is called pull. You pull the content from the repository, work on that content, and then you do one thing, you again push this content back to the repository. For example, let us come across inside this environment. I'm trying to explain engineering means where the process is available. There's some kind of recipe available. There's some kind of properly step-by-step guidelines I use. If I just do one thing, go back on my machine and let me use my Windows Explorer. So here's my Windows Explorer. I have got my D drive. I have got here my Revitiga folder. And here I have got my tab folder. Under this tab folder, I also have a tab folder. Okay, and when I just look around inside this code, there are a lot of repositories available. Could you get there is some kind of repository I will call common services here? Have you observed? Correct, no? Yes, there's a common services repository there. And this common services repository is getting updated by a lot of my students parallelly. So almost this repository has been modified by so many participants. Can you get here? Contributors? Yes, you find there are almost 18 contributors are there for these repositories, and these all 18 students are doing some kind of code in that repository. And we find HTML 53%, C# 25%, JavaScript 16%, and this contents available. So let us get the scenario. I want to work on this repository. I want to work on this repository at my local machine. What I would do? I would just copy this URL. I copy this URL. And if I copy this URL, I have to just go back and try to find a machine. Okay, might be somewhere where your local repository is already available. Now, I'll use a command line tool, CMD. So I asked you a question, how do you use your GitHub? So you said, sir, we are using GitHub using browser-based things. But we can do one thing. You can download the Git for Windows. If Git for Windows you download, here is the software. Git for Windows. If I type Git for Windows, you get download Git. If I click, even you have this option, and you really find you can download 64-bit Windows setup. If you click on that area, might be that particular installable will get started downloading on your machine. And this is the kind of installable will be available on your local machine. So I'm just helping you all students, those students who are saying, sir, we never use this Git command for doing all kind of stuff. So your job is, if you already have a GitHub repository and you want to work on that GitHub repository on a local environment, so during that time you require one small Git client software. That Git client software is actually downloaded here. And if I just go back and try to show you this, can you get the size? It says that Git 2.45 bit.exe file. That is an installable file available. If you double click and just say next, finish, you'll get the Git software installed. Two things are available. Git is the client software used by the developer on their machine. So here, every machine required one software, and that software is called Git client. So everyone will have Git client software. Everyone will have Git client software. This Git client software will be there. Git client software will be here. Git client software will be there. Git client software will be there. Git client software will be there. And if you have a Git client software, you just come across and try to access your folder and just go back and type the command. Git status. For example, there's a command called git status. So git status is a command tells me, Ravi, you have already modified some customer control.cs file and app setting.json file. That is not being pushed Okay, it is just telling me like that way. But actually, I wanted to pull my content. So what is here required? Git status is one command. Second is git. Write down these commands. Might be these commands will be there for your CC exam. Okay, you know, git status, then git. What is the command? Git pull. And for that git pull, you just give that path which you copied. So when I just type git pull HTTP that particular URL and I press enter key. Have you observed? You really get the content from the repository if someone has already modified has been received at my local machine. And here is my local machine folder where the content has been available. So these are the files. Might be some kind of code, might be some kind of stuff has been kept inside this area. And that is the file being kept inside. So now my job is being as a developer, you have really taken the clone of that particular repository on your machine. You really taken the copy of that repository on your machine. And now you want to work on that area. So you just go back and modify certain files. So let us say I'm working on this particular file and there's a text file available. And here's a text file. And this text file I really find, all right, this text file is actually having some kind of content, which is called, it is a document called System Requirement Specification Document. What is this? It's a kind of document. You have to make it. If you really want to develop your software using software engineering, okay, certain document is available. Can I modify this document? Now I have got the document. That document might have been modified by one of my colleagues on his machine, which has been pushed by him. Now I want to add certain code inside. So I'm just going back under this area and writing something here. Actors. And for the actors, I'm writing here something called, this is a e-Krushi Seva application. So I'll write farmers. Okay. Shop, agri e-store, shop owners, dealers, suppliers. Correct, no? Some information I have just added here. I have modified this particular file. I'm working on this document. That document I'm trying to build by using something called software engineering process. Document is created. You tell me this document modified on my local machine or in that GitHub. Can you guess?
Local machine.
This document, yeah, this machine, this is being modified on my local machine, correct, no? Now I wanted this document again to be sent to the GitHub repository so that other friends can use it. Then what is required? I'll again come back to this for your Git tool. Under this Git tool, I'll type the simple command. Remember this command? You write down this command, please. Git status. I always use git status command because this git status command tell me how many files I have really modified. And those files are always shown in red color if they are modified. What do you get? I think previously these two files were there, but now it is trying to tell me, Ravi, in your case, this Krushi Seva SRS document also been modified. Okay, you know? Now, if this files has been modified, I wanted this file to be pushed back to the repository so that people can use it. Now we are almost 17 developers working together. So every 17 developer has to follow this software engineering process. What they need to do? They have to go back and they have to use a command git add. Okay, git add. So what is the file you like to modify? I want to modify, I would like to add these all files. I'll use command git add space dot. Dot means all. So when I press enter, see git add, I'll tell you git add space dot. Now you'll ask me a question, Ravi sir, where you say git add dot means where it has been added. Correct, no? So if I could really come across and try to show you something important part here inside this diagram, if I really focus on this area here. So if you are a developer, at your developer side, you will have your local repository which is nothing but the folder. Okay, it is a local repository. And plus we'll have one more area. That area is called as staging area. What is area called? A staging area. So whenever I use command git add space dot, so that time my repositories, whatever files I have just modified, those particular files will be actually shifted to the staging area of this particular local machine. Now you're ready to commit. So exactly it is like that way. If you have created some particular space launch vehicle, so you cannot just launch this space launch vehicle from anywhere. You have to go to the launch pad. And through that launch pad only you can launch your space vehicle, rocket. Similarly, any particular code you modify in your local machine, that is a local repository. You use command git add space dot, shift that particular files, only those files which are modified, into the staging area. Now you go for committing. So what is required? I'll come across, now I want to commit. So if I just go back and try to use my, yes. Now I'll use the command git commit -m and writing here SRS document modification. Enter. My file is now getting committed. It is ready. It's committed. Now, if it is committed, now my next job is push these changes back to the repository. So what I will do? Git push. So when I type git push, okay, what happened? It says that Ravi, your changes are updated because remote actions work that you do not have locally. So this is usually caused by another repository pushing. There are chances the thing which I'm trying to push to the centralized repository already someone has already changed that repository. So you first do one thing, you first call a command git pull. अगर आप अपना change push करना चाहते हो, and if already someone has already made changes, your job is to call git pull command. Okay. Now, if that git pull command has been done, you use a command called git push. Okay. Updates were rejected because of your current branch is behind. So if I just say git status, see, git status. Now in that thing, what happened? Have you observed? These are files, correct? No? Appropriate. So again, git add dot git commit -m okay, git push. Have you seen? Contents are pushed to the repository. Now, can you just go back and try to check it on github.com site? So when I just go back and try to see my github.com site, which is the repository I modified? Would you please tell me?
eKrushi.
eKrushi, no? So if it is eKrushi I have modified, let me just go back and try to check it eKrushi. So I'm looking for eKrushi project. Yes, it's here. So last from 3-4 months, we are not working on this project. Can you get some kind of information being shown to you? SRS changes. Now, 1 minute ago, Ravi Tamade had made certain changes inside this repository. Have you observed? Correct, no?
Yes, sir.
And we really find the file, whatever we modified, it is still there inside. Can you just look around? Which is the file we modified? I think SRS document. No? So can I just go back and open this document here? I think that is what exactly we made changes. Yes, no?
Yes.
So don't you think whenever someone is working in a company, so they are using different types of tools. GitHub, it is an open source but there are certain features which are paid. You know, there are companies who are using github.com site for these repositories, but they're making their repositories private. But most of the students, whenever they wanted to show that they know how to do work together, the most important thing today in IT industry, if some kind of skill is required, that skill actually what we really call, it is nothing but collaboration. Okay, most of you say, Ravi sir, what you're talking about. We know that we want to have Java skill. Yes, we require a Java skill. We require .NET skill. We require Node.js skill. But let me tell you with my experience, okay, the kind of skill really required in IT industry, that is called collaboration, communication. Okay, collaboration and communication, these are the most important skills in IT industry required. Now you'll ask me a question, what is collaboration? Where number of developers are working together and they are working on the same project. And the project which they are going to work, I think they are developing applications, certain modules. They're developing applications models. And these all modules are getting integrated. And finally, your software is getting delivered. I think that is what we call as a collaboration. So you are working on a project, you are pushing the content. You're working on a project, you're pushing the content. You're working on the project, you're pushing the content. You're again pulling the content. And once you pull that content, you see what exactly someone has modified inside. And accordingly, you just take that concept and build something on the top of it here. That is why today we find, because of such kind of tools, I think even someone can become a freelance developer and work for some US-based company and work from home. There are a lot of seniors are actually doing that step itself. But for that thing, what is required? You need to follow software engineering. You need to understand what is the process. You need to understand what are the tools. And understand what are the practices to be followed. Are you getting? So what are the practices to be followed while doing software development? What are the practices to be followed while doing testing? What are the practices to be followed while doing deployment? And what are the practices to be followed while keeping this application running on a server? This is completely whatever you say, it is called as a software engineering, my dear friends. Yes, I also learned this software engineering subject during my college in 1996. Yeah, I passed out in 1997. So that time we also learned this software engineering subject. I think that time there was a book. I forgot. I think there was a book called Mankar or something book was there. Such a huge book available. I did not like that book at all. So much kind of descriptive thing was given. And we just tried to prepare. We just gave an exam. We got very good marks. But now when I am working in an industry and when I see all those things, that time I really find, I think our education system should actually do not keep ourselves only restricted to the notes and theory. Rather than we should actually allow them to use these tools, these processes, and let them develop these applications. So in your CDAC course, I think it should be like that way. You should do your project and you're learning together. And during that time, use these all kind of tools. Don't think these Git commands, if you would have known previously very well, you would have done a lot of contribution on your GitHub repository. And you could have also shown your information like this way. No worries, but at least now you can do it. And it's so bright to show that, yes, I'm doing this kind of changes and these are what exactly the repositories are there. And that is what exactly my contributions are going on. So being as a trainer, I'm happy. Being as a trainer, I'm not only conducting sessions, but I'm also doing some kind of like a coding part. So good. So these are the kind of few Git commands I have just kept in front of you. Share this command just to know about using this Git is also one particular part. What is it exactly I told you? इसे मैंने कौन सा नाम दिया था? Have you observed?
SCM.
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 Source Control Management. Correct? Now, just for your understanding, if you are going to work on .NET technology, so during that time they use not GitHub, they use something called Azure DevOps. And the Azure DevOps has their own kind of this check-in, check-out, branching like a capabilities to be done itself. Then again, IBM has their own kind of tool. IBM's tool is called as a ClearCase. So using IBM ClearCase, a lot of companies manage their source code. For any particular manufacturing company, if I say what is their unique selling point, what is their core, I would say the design blueprint, they make it for some vehicle. They always try to protect that particular blueprint of that particular car they have really created, because they know if this blueprint is getting available for some competitor, I think there are chances we will lose our market share. So for a software development company also, what is important? What is your asset? If I ask a question, for a software development company, the asset is nothing but the source code. So protecting that source code, making the source code available for developers to modify. Whatever changes are happening to that particular code is always continuously being observed. I think that is the most important part. So these are all what we call as a source control management tool. Okay, so I think it's almost 9. We have started our session at 8:15. 45 minutes session we covered. And in that thing, we really focus on one simple part about software engineering, where we are talking about this software engineering is nothing but what? It is a combination of 2 things. What are those 2 things I said that? Process, tools, and practices. Now, whenever we talk about process, what kind of process you are talking about? Then in that thing, people talk about the there is a process, something what people call as waterfall model. Waterfall model is one they talk about. Second, they call it as a spiral. Correct, that is what they normally talk about. Tools. We use ID. We use testing tools. We use deployment tools.
Version control tools.
Yes, we do use source code. Version control means source control, correct?
Yes.
So version control tools, source control tools, plus other stuff, correct? I think that is what we call. Then we call what is practices, correct? Do you know what is practices? What is the word used here? Agile methodology. Nowadays, almost I would say 90% IT companies are following agile methodology in their day-to-day life when the software development is going on in the companies. Most of you are from non-IT background, if I'm not wrong. Yes.
Yes.
And most of you might have did some kind of internship of your mechanical engineering or something, going to some factory or something. तो आपको पता है there you might have learned something called Kaizen improvements, TQM.
Yes, sir.
TQM, total quality management. No, that is what they call
5 years.
total
Six Sigma.
quality management. Then again, they use Kaizen improvements, correct? Kaizen. I think these are all. I'm not sure exactly what is the spelling. Kaizen. So Kaizen. Yeah. So these are the kind of thing whatever we call them as nothing but like a how in a company when the shift is started, every labor or every engineer will do their task. I still remember whenever we used to find, means my relative, he used to work in Tata Motors, and almost for more than 30 years he has been working in Tata Motors. So whenever I ask question, what he is going to do, he said, now I have got a shift one page. Okay, I just want to work on that area. Then I asked, do you know what is to be done here? They said, okay, once I go to the shift, now during that time I would be given information, and there will be some kind of chart will be given. In that chart, I'll understand what are the kind of steps I need to carry out. And through the 8 hours, I have to just follow that task. Okay, so that is the way the work has been really carried out. Okay. So with what we see, a kind of standard process being followed so that the production will never get hampered. Listen carefully. Why we follow this particular all practices? our production should not be delayed. Because if the production is delayed, there's a huge loss for that manufacturing company. So that is why they are very particular about using this TQM and Kaizen like thing itself. So like that way, I would also say that in this particular IT company, then what we use? We use agile methodology. Now to make things much more simplified, I think this agile methodology is implemented by using some framework. You might have heard about this framework. Can you read this word? Scrum. So some of your friends, your elder brother, your elder sister, or might be your other colleague, other your friends, they are working in IT industry. They might be using this word. Or we are going with the Scrum, and now we are actually in a sprint 2. We are working a sprint, and we have been assigned some kind of user stories. And my job is to attend stand-up meeting. And I have a review. We are supposed to go for meeting. That meeting is called as a retrospective meeting. So this is the kind of terminologies in IT industry people use it here. So agile methodology is being followed in this particular software development process. And there, the framework which is used, that is called Scrum framework. I'm going to explain very well, detail tomorrow's session. But today I'm just giving you the complete overview in my first 2-hour session, so that you'll understand in this SDM session what exactly we will be learning properly. Correct? So retrospective meeting, yes, Sarah, practices with them. Tools, these are the tools available. Deployment tools. So under that deployment, people talk about then how do you do deployment? So we need to understand the cloud computing. Correct? Correct? Because nowadays all applications are getting deployed on cloud, if I'm not wrong. Yes. And we normally say these clouds are nothing but public cloud and private cloud. So there's a cloud called Amazon cloud. What do you call for the Amazon cloud? AWS.
AWS.
Then Microsoft cloud, what do you call?
Azure.
Azure. Exactly, Azure. And what about Google's cloud you call it?
Google Cloud.
GCP. GCP. GCP stands for Google Cloud Platform. So on this particular platform, the applications are getting deployed. So how these applications will be deployed? How this work would be carried out? I think that is what exactly we also need to understand properly in a software engineering. So what is the process? How to go about it? I think that is what exactly we are going to focus. Now, I have talked a lot of stuff. I explained a lot of extra point. I'll be very happy if you could ask me certain questions. I will address your questions. Then I'll proceed further. Yeah. So feel free. You can ask me any kind of questions from this particular perspective. Okay. If I don't know answer, I'll say I don't know. I'll get back to you. But if I know the answer, I definitely try to make sure that I will give answer in much more simplified way. I hope you find the pace of this particular training is going okay. I hope you don't find that I'm going very fast. Is it going okay or is it going very slow? What do you think? Normal? आपके चेहरे से मुझे पता नहीं चल रहा, आपके बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट्स ने तो सिर्फ उनके फोटो लगा के रखे, but I could see Rishikesh has kept his camera on, तो एटलीस्ट जैसे आपके ट्रेनर के चेहरे पे उसके इमोशंस दिखते हैं, स्टूडेंट के भी इमोशंस दिखाई देने चाहिए. Otherwise your voice will help me to get that thing. So I do assume that things are going okay and you are totally making myself comfortable. Yes. And going very good. Thank you very much. Any question? Now most of you have one question in mind.
Yes, sir. Ayush side.
Yeah. Yes, go ahead.
Sir, how do we give points to user stories?
Definitely. Tomorrow I'm going to explain you. If you want to define user story, how do I make that particular user story points? Correct, no? So my tomorrow session is totally focused on that area. As a customer, I want to get list of the product so that I can add product into the shopping cart. I think that is the kind of sentence is actually called as a user story. So what is exactly the business scenario? The business scenario has been taken and the business scenario has been put in some kind of English sentence. So first, as a, who, customer, what, I want to get list of the product. What is the outcome of that thing? So that I will be able to select product into my shopping cart. I think this is kind of like a formula. People use it to make that particular user story points. And such kind of user story points, we just keep it together to make this application going. I think this much of information is sufficient just to give you clarity. Yes?
So the point system is general for all, or it depends on the organization.
Now, let me tell you, the writing style is almost common. But every company's domain will be different, no?
Yeah.
Means right now I'm developing software for e-commerce. Someone is developing software for telecommunication. And someone is developing application for, let us say, something called like a e-governance application. So what is that? You really find their business application is different. So according to the business application, their domain will be different. But way of defining user story is almost consistent everywhere.
Yes,
That is
sir.
what we really call as a scrum. Just think like that way. If every company would have their own kind of user story point definition, culture, different, what would have been the consequences? You will keep working only for that company because that company's user story writing style is only unique. So whatever knowledge you gathered in that company about writing user story and defining the previous story points, I think that is only unique for you. With that, if you try to go for another company for job searching, no, they will ask you their user story culture. And you say, sir, I know only this culture. So during that time, companies will not get a talented people. And you also will not be able to find the talented company. And software engineering, it is a process which is consistent across all the organizations. Companies wanted developers. Developer wanted to switch another company for a better reason point of view. So if you know the standards and those standards are defined, I think that time it becomes very smooth transition for company as well as for the developer. Okay. Right?
Yes.
Great. Chalo, let's move further from the point where I left. The point where I left, that was the point here. We were talking about the developer environment, no? Yes. Now I
Yes.
like to focus on the tester environment. So I'll just try to see this one properly here. Is it visible to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
I
sir.
call it here testing environment. This testing environment is used by testers. Then tester, if they want to test the software, what is really required? I think they also require the execution environment. Yes, they also require the execution environment. Means same thing, your GRE, your Maven, your all kind of dependencies. They're all kind of execution environment will be there inside. Execution environment. And on the top of execution environment, now you'll have your actual software that is to be tested. But if you want that actual software to be tested on machine, you really require the most important here, testing tools. Okay. So we will have something called here as a testing tools. So what do you think? Does tester also has the Visual Studio installed on their machine? What do you think?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So does that mean testers are developers?
No, sir.
No.
And Visual Studio is a tool used by the developers. The name itself says it's an integrated developers environment. That means tester will never have Visual Studio installed on their machine. Then tester will have execution environment. And they might have some testing tools. So might be they are using something called Selenium. Okay. They might be using something called load runner. They might be using some frameworks like JUnit. Yes, someone is saying something. Pardon? I didn't get. Yeah, good. So many frameworks are there. One of the framework I just used, JUnit, NUnit, JUnit.
Test every.
You know, in Node.js, we also have a lot of testing. There is something called Jest.
Yes.
Yeah, there is something called like what is that? Jasmine. There's one more thing I'll call Chai. There's one more thing called Chowkidar. You know, Chowkidar is like a person who is always at the gate and will be always checking every person, and he is going to decide that person will be, the visitor will be allowed or not. So don't these names look like as a Indian Hindi names and all the same. That means definitely these tools would have been developed by some Indian and they are given the Indian name. Or one more thing, Karma. Karma, Chai, Chokidar, Jasmine, Jest.
What about Jira?
Very good. So JUnit, these are the testing tools. But along with that, they also require one more tool on their machine to be installed. But that is not a testing tool, madam. That tool is called Jira. And in that case, the Jira tool will be available for testers machine as well as developers machine, as well as production machine. So that means Jira is a tool is used for project management. And within your project, you will also have developers. Within a project, you'll also have testers. Within your project, you'll also have your operations engineers, DevOps. Now, if these all kind of people are going to work on the same project, some of them are going to do deployment, some of them want to test, and some of them are really going to do the code addition or updation or maintenance of that code. So during that time, how do you coordinate? Correct, no? With these all people. So during that time, for this particular project management work, no? So if this is a project, this project is going to be managed by using some particular tool. That tool is what we really call as a project management tool, and we call it a Jira. Tomorrow, or if today possible, I will show you that Jira tool. So Jira is a kind of tool where I will assign a task, you will receive the task, you'll complete the task, you notify my task is completed. Then you also see, is there any other task is left for me? Okay, no? So keeping team informed, keeping team collaborated with each other, making this communication together. You know, I said somewhere in my session, two things are important, collaboration and communication. So in that area, I'll say to keep you updated, I think the tool is called as a Jira tool. And using the Jira tool, the work has been carried out. Is right? That means one thing is clear, Jira is not testing tool. But most of the time, testers has got the Jira available. And using that Jira, they come to know what are the test cases they need to test it. And how many test cases they really tested. How many bugs has been created. How many bugs has been found. How many bugs has been resolved. Correct, no? And that bugs report is getting automatically generated because of that tool. That tool is called as a Jira tool. So Jira tool is used by every particular team member inside this Jira. That's why in our SDM session, we have been asked, just show them how tasks can be given, how tasks can be modified, how tasks can be checked, how that particular Scrum board will be seen, how exactly that particular product backlog will be maintained, how sprint will be carried out. I think that whole thing we will be seeing in tomorrow's session very well about the Jira part. So Jira tool is supposed to be known by each and every team member. Is it clear? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Good. So testing tools and everything. And then on the top of you really have your actual servers. Then you really have your servers. And on that servers, whatever you have your servers, on that servers, we really take that application and install that application. And we test that application. and this is your application. So we use the word AUT. This is a terminology of a software testing. Someone who already previously worked with some particular company as a tester, is there someone? Because I do observe most of the time people get a job as a software tester, they work, but after that they realize, sorry, this is not my cup of tea. I have more creative things in my mind, so I need to learn development very well, and I need to search job for software developers work. That is why most of the people also take admission for CDAC, and they come for PGDAC course, and they learn this development. That's I'm just asking. Do we have anyone in our team right now? Anyone who previously worked as a software tester or someone?
Yes, sir.
But yes, you work, no?
Yes.
Yes, what are the tools you use?
Yes, Selenium.
Acha, you use Selenium. Selenium.
Automation tester.
Acha, you are working as an automation test engineer, correct, no?
Yes.
And I think you use Selenium WebDriver, if I'm not wrong.
WebDriver, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Test engine Kutumba.
Selenium WebDriver. You did that Selenium WebDriver automation testing using C#, Java, or what?
Java.
Yeah.
Acha, means you use Java as a programming language, and using Java programming language, you written some kind of code which was automatically testing any particular website. Correct, no?
Yes.
So that is the work has been taken care. So normally software testers use any particular software which is to be tested. You remember that, what is that?
Bug life cycle.
AUT stands for application under test.
Yes.
Okay, AUT stands for application under test. The application which is under test, we call as a AUT. That is nothing but the actual software which you develop available. And now this software will be tested by using Selenium driver, might be load runner or some other kind of stuff. And based on that, they generate reports, and these reports are submitted to the developer team again. So the developer team will again restart doing some kind of changes and again send the software for testing to the software development team. And that is the way the process is going on. And when the software is, now we find there's one word is used. Zero defect product. It is the moral responsibility of a software tester to make sure the software which you're testing, it is a zero defect product. That means once you tested and there are no bugs being found, now your software is ready to be deployed. Are you getting? So that the software will be taken and deployed to the production environment. So that's why the word is called zero defect product. The AUT should be zero defect product. The job of tester is to test this software using some kind of documentation. Correct, no? You know what are this documentation you call? Yes. Whatever testing you want to do, test cases, na?
Test matrix document which contain test cases, test scenarios.
Yeah, test cases. Under the test cases, they are given the information about step-by-step guidelines, no?
Yes.
And then you really complete those tests, and then you write that test matrix report where you say how many tests passed, how many tests failed, how many tests about to be tested, correct, no?
Yes.
Good. I think that is what exactly our SD model is all about. So it will happen that some of you will be happier to see that they are again revisiting that area. And some of you who are totally new to the area, they will also come to know, yes, we are really learning something industry related knowledge in this course. Okay, no? So test cases will be created. The test cases will be used to test this particular software. And if the tests are being completely successful, then the product will become zero defect product. And if such as a zero defect product would be there, I think such zero defect product will be deployed to the where? Production. And production means the software which is hosted on an environment which will be accessed remotely by number of end users. Might be 10,000 users, might be 1 lakh users are going to visit your website, and that website is hosted on that particular production environment. So next question, how does that particular production environment might look like? We're talking this particular production environment, correct, no? So guess. whenever the session is going on in that session, even actually you also should start thinking and you should also try to make your own guesses. And then you suddenly find my guess is exactly matching with Ravi's explanation, or whether my guess was slightly going out the track. I think that makes you interested with the session. It will make you involved in the session. So sometimes when I ask something, no, try to think about what is that? What is that? Okay. So production environment I'm talking about. Can I say all applications are getting deployed on a cloud? Yeah. First question, what is cloud? Now don't say it's a Badal. We always talk about Amazon cloud. We always talk about Azure cloud. We always talk about Google cloud. What is cloud ultimately?
It's like virtual storage, which we can access from anywhere in the world
Okay.
through the internet.
Okay. But something someone can add. Yes, very good. You have really given nice answer, but I want something more extra.
Sir, it can be said a server which is connected to the internet and everyone can use it.
Very good. I think that is perfectly good. Very simple thing I'm just going to put here. Whenever you create any software, I hope you learn some basics of C, C++ in this course as well. Whether there were some few sessions were conducted for C, C++.
Yes, sir. C++.
Yes. Now remember, you wrote some .c files or .cpp files, correct? No? You build some application using number of CPP files. Then you compile these CPP files. Then it created OBJ files. These all diagrams I'm going to share with you. Okay, so don't draw it, just observe it. .obj files. And these OBJ files are further linked with the linker. And you know what is the outcome of this particular C, C++ application? After your compilation of CPP code, what is the output file? Could you guess? Or simply I'll make it here. I hope you you learned .NET. In .NET, you created a console application. Remember?
Yes.
So when .NET console application was created, so do you know what was the type of file created as an executable file?
.exe.
Very good. .exe file. It could be .exe file or another file could be.
.dll.
Very good. Another file could be .dll, no? Yes. So .exe and .dll. Because you create a libraries and you use that library in exe. So that could be .cpp or that could be .NET. It remains same. In case of Java, Java files are converted in the format like a .class file, and .class files are come together and that becomes like application. Now I'm asking question. If this is the kind of application available, once you run this, once you give this application for execution, ultimately what happens? When you run this application, ultimately what happens? I hope there was a topic for operating system as well you covered.
Yes, sir.
Linux was conducted, no? Linux was taken. You try some Linux commands, then you learn some basics of like a Linux operating system concept or any kind of things. What do you find normally? If any application is under execution, means now the application exe is there, we double click on exe. When you double click on exe, we get the output, correct? No? Right. But ultimately in operating system, what it happens? My job is to come and explain. That is what exactly cloud computing is all about. We will be using AWS during our practicals. But I want to give idea today itself, so that your journey will become much more faster and much more interactive also. So, you know, there is a concept called process.
Yes, sir.
So whenever any executable file is submitted for the execution within your operating system, one process is created, if I'm not wrong. And that is what we call as a process. So when this exe is given for the execution, the process is created on a Windows operating system or might be on Linux. Yes. Within this process, some memory is reserved for your dynamic memory allocation. You know, what is that memory we call? Heap.
Heap.
Yes. And along with heap, there is also one small memory is also used where your variables
Stack.
are pushed
Stack.
or the variables are popped. Stack. Correct, no? Right? Perfect. Right? And after that, we also call this process is just created and your all kind of DLLs and EXs also been loaded here. Just for sake of understanding, I'm just trying to make it here. So that is what I really call as a code segment. You know, code segment, a segment of code. Code has been loaded and kept here as a code segment. So code segment is there, heap is there, stack is there, everything is ready. Then to execute that code, there's one particular kernel object is created which calls your main function. Remember, we always call main is an entry point function. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Main is an entry point function, but who calls the main function? Am I right? Primary thread. Primary thread calls the main function, and primary thread goes in a code segment and start executing the code. And while executing the code, it might tries to create the object on heap, push its variable on a stack. Again, go and execute next sentence. Again, create another object, and again push into the stack. I think that is going on, and we find applications running. But this whole application is running on which machine? This whole application is running on one standalone machine. And that is a Windows OS or might be Linux OS. So when a complete application is running on the same machine where all the code is kept inside, what is the kind of application we call it here? I think we call that application as nothing but what is the word you see?
Monolithic application.
Monolithic application. Some of them used to call them as a monolithic application. Some of them used to call them as stand-alone application. Or some of them used to call them as what is the type of application? Desktop application. That means this application is going to run on that desktop itself. All required executable content is available on that machine. And that is running on that machine itself. So that means this application can be used by the user from his machine only. Paintbrush, Notepad. These are the examples, are nothing but your standalone monolithic or desktop applications. But the way there is a word I will call your desktop applications. We are using Gmail. We are using Instagram. Yes. So when you're using Instagram or when you're using Facebook, are these applications desktop applications? Does that mean the complete Facebook application need to be installed in my local machine, then only I can access Facebook?
No.
Sir.
No.
No, we just need a browser, no? We just need a browser, and through that browser, we type www.facebook.com site. We log in and we get our Facebook page. Then we upload photos. At the same time, we see what are your friends has updated. So what is the kind of application? What are the kind of applications we call them? We call these applications as
Web application.
What is the word used? Distributed application. We call such applications as distributed applications. Now, why the name is given called distributed? Can you guess? Distributed. Think.
Execution is happening at different server, different machines.
Very good. That means we find that the distributed application is going to work on multiple machines, correct? No? Yes. Your standard application runs on only one machine, but distributed application works on multiple machine. So that means you will have a kind of architecture being followed to make your application distributed applications. So in that case, what we find, you will have number of users. Why software engineering is important? I'm coming to that point. So we always call these people as nothing but end users. These are end users. End users use their own local machine. Right? So there is a concept called thin client, thick server. The kind of architecture is followed for creating these applications called as a client server architecture. You will have thin client. Thin client means simple browser. Nothing is there. Simple browser is there. We have learned in every technology, .NET and Java and WPT also. And using this particular thin client, you really get connected to the internet. And then at this side, we really call it the server side. And then we really talk about my application is now distributed. That means in that area, there are chances. I hope you learn Java very well. Yes. So in that Java, remember there is something called like a web API and MVC application. Do you know there is a concept called web server and app server? You always store data in database, no? Yes. So can I say your application's data might have been kept in separate server? I will call that as a MySQL. Which server you use for database point of view? Microsoft SQL Server or MySQL or Oracle?
MySQL.
I use
MySQL.
MySQL. I think that is running on port 3306. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So here I'll try to represent. You have your database. So we are separating our data from the application. Database server. Database server. Under database server, we will try to store our data in the form of relational entities. And this data in relational entities we store in the form of like a tables. Why in your application data is separated from the application server? Why your database server? This is a database server. Again, you'll have another server. I will call that server as application service, application server, a special server where your core domain logic will be there. A recommendation, okay, likes, data analysis. I think this is all kind of related stuff, kind of logic is going to run on this server. So I will say core business logic, BI logic will be kept running on this thing itself. And they will be talking to your servers. IP address of this computer might be different. IP address of this computer would be different. And then you will also have some kind of server we call that server as nothing but your web server. I will call this server as what kind of server I said? Web server. And might be if it is Java application on that thing, you will have its Linux machine. On the top of Linux machine, you will have your Tomcat server installed. Because normally in cloud, in other place, we don't use Windows. We always use Linux. So Tomcat, and on the Tomcat, you will have your web application running. And inside, you will have your web API created. So you may have your web API, or you may have your MVC application. This web API internally might be consuming a data core logic. Core logic is getting access data or performing CRUD operations against your tables. So what do you get? Can you see now the application is completely distributed on multiple servers? Tell me.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Application has been distributed on multiple servers. What is the advantage? Now complete CPU and complete RAM will be utilized of this machine for this web API execution. Core logic execution requires like a recommendation. Data analytics require more CPU power, is now getting using of that CPU, RAM and everything. And now your database server separately. Database servers, you always keep it separate. Why? Because even if in case your web service crash, even if your application server crash, your data should be protected. One thing I always remember very well. Sometimes your software get crash, I don't mind. But if your data is lost, you are lost. Is that right? That's why companies always try to maintain their data as a separate thing. That's why database servers are separate, application servers are separate, all those things. And then we really find now number of requests will be generated, the request packet will be created, the request packet will be going through, and the request packet will be traversing, and the request packet will be received, and correspondingly they will be accessing, and they will be fetching a data. The data will be received, collection framework data will be given, JSON data will be created, response will be generated, and the response is again same time. Correct, no? That is a normal application architecture normal talk about. But right now I have just shown you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 users. If number of users will access your web application, don't think this all kind of application requests will be going in a queue. Yes or no? There will be a
Yes.
queue. Number of requests will go in a queue. And each and every request will be fulfilled and the response will be given, then the next queue will be taken. And suddenly if your website becomes so popular, then I think number of users will hit increase. And during that time, existing users also will start getting a delay in their applications. That doesn't happen. Then what is really required? So, you know, there is a concept called NLB, network load balancing. So that means what if you really want? Can it happen? Your web application will be created as a copy and will be deployed on another server machine. So now in this case, you will have same web application is hosted on 3 different physical servers. And they will be here managed by using a technique. That technique is actually called as a NLB, network load balancing. So that certain requests will be routed to the web server, certain requests will be routed to the server, certain requests will be routed. Since the application is same everywhere, that doesn't make sense. And then further requests will go for the applications. Now it may happen that these applications also will be very busy. So in that case, there might be another application server will be created. Another application server instance will be created. And they will be also load balance. And might be this database server is actually not enough to store all the data. So they will use a concept, not a single database. Then what is the concept they will use? DB cluster. What is the word I use? DB cluster. Have you come across this cluster word in your discussion somewhere? Can somebody tell me what is cluster? Yes. Cluster means similar types of servers has been clubbed together under one particular area. That area we call as a cluster. So that means within that cluster, we will have more than one MySQL database server machines are created, and these machines have been kept together. And that is a cluster created. So tomorrow, if you find your existing database size is getting low or getting less, so we can just get another MySQL server machine and put it inside, and we'll have more space. So that means when the application is running on a production environment, we wanted to see we should be easily scale our application. We should be easily use this application and we can scale in and scale out. So that our application end users will get their expected output in a given time limit. I think that is what we really call as nothing but a distributed application. But if the application becomes so famous, might be this all kind of database servers, whatever you're really talking about, these servers would have been created. तो ये सारा कहाँ पे होगा? ये जो सारे physical servers की हम बात कर रहे हैं, where this physical servers would have been kept? Could you guess? People always use the word, that word is called as a data center. So companies will have their own kind of physical server room. Somewhere in a company, you have one particular restricted area where they might have set up some kind of rack servers. Okay. And on that rack servers, they might have created certain blade servers, physical hardware. This particular data center room has been fully air conditioned and no one is allowed to go inside. And I will call that is a data center. So data center is nothing but a physical environment where highly computational resources are kept. So what is that highly computational resources you really require? Number one, you require compute. Sorry, hand is slightly getting showing. Yeah, compute. Second is called storage. And third is called here as nothing but your network. Networking, storage, and compute. And under that compute, you'll have two things. One is your CPU. Second is your, could you guess? RAM. RAM, CPU, computational things. Storage, physical drive, where your data will be stored. Network, bandwidth. These all those things are given by this particular data center. And whenever your application is getting more use, I think your network operations team is responsible for adding new hardware and making this application operational. But since your application is become more famous and more famous, so your existing data center is also of no use. So, and again, creating another data center itself is a huge cost. So in that area, what happened? Companies look for public cloud providers, public cloud providers, where we would be able to use their data center on rental basis, and our complete these all applications farm we will be able to deploy on that machine. I think that kind of environment we really call as a cloud computing. So don't think whenever you are developing any software, we should think about all those points before you write any software. All of us started learning programming first. Please understand very well. So we always first started our career. So what was the first thing you learned in your programming word? Hello word. So that hello word you learned first by using C, or that hello word you written by using Java. So we directly started writing the code. No one has their mind that time, why I'm writing hello world? And by writing this hello world, what is really going to happen? So if any small kid is going to learn, just think about when you're a baby, you may have your own kind of like a younger sister or younger brother who was born after you, and now he was learning a language. So during that time, whether he started writing first or he started speaking first.
Speaking obviously.
He started speaking. How he started speaking first? He started observing, no? He started observing you, your parents, and then he grasped he grasped those words, and he started reusing the words, and then he developed that particular communication, that particular conversation, and he started speaking. And after some time, then he really started learning alphabets and characters and everything. So in computer engineering part also, I think I would suggest someone who want to become a developer, no, I think that person first need to understand this thing. So they need to have this bird's eye view first. And once they have bird's eye view, then they understand that developing software is very, very sensible job. Your small lines of code will try to get this web server down. Your small lines of code might make a delay. And because of that, this is a cloud where you pay for every particular single CPU cycle. You will pay more this. So if you are using Amazon Cloud, and if you do not have free trial, you are having a paid version. So if you keep your server running unnecessary, you will be charged. And if this is the application has been deployed on one of the customers data center, customers AWS subscription. So during that time, the customer will be paying a huge AWS bill because your code you have written is consuming a lot of CPU, lot of RAM, lot of storage, and that is putting extra infrastructure cost for that Amazon company, or might be that Myntra.com site company, or might be something called Jabong.com company owner. So software engineer should actually learn this concept very well. And that is why this software engineering topics are important. So why I given this whole kind of idea in 2 hours? Because I wanted to make comfortable that you get ready for understanding a software engineering. If you want to build a software, just writing a software, writing set of lines of code is not a software writing. You have to learn certain processes. You need to learn certain practices. You need to learn certain tools. And that is what is nothing but ultimately, it is what we call as nothing but SDM. Clear? So after this, I think we'll have a break. And after break, we'll come across and we'll talk about now software engineering process model from some particular use case scenario point of view. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So let's meet after, I think, half an hour, correct? No?
Yes.
Yeah. So after half an hour, we'll be joining here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Great. So let's come back and try to see this software engineering, how we would be able to implement. Now, software engineering cannot be taught in theory, first of all. If you really want to learn this software engineering perfectly, so software engineering is actually learned by practice. That is my assumption. But in our colleges, we always learn software engineering as a theoretical topic. There was no practice, there was nothing. Most of you have done your engineering, if I'm not wrong. Yes or no?
Yes,
And
sir.
most of you had one simple, what is it? Culture that we have to submit our final year project. So be computers, be electrical, be electronics, be mechanical, everyone have gone through the process of creating a project and submitting that project. And I think this project activity might have been started somewhere in August. If you are getting passed out somewhere in May, definitely a college in a last year might have told you that you have to submit your project title. And once the project title is submitted, now remaining 6-7 months, you will do the project implementation. I hope most of you have religiously followed this all kind of things. Or it might have happened that most of your projects were incomplete. Most of your projects were not working during the time of presentation. Or it might happen some of your projects, you're not having a time to develop. So you might have taken help of someone and they might have helped you in getting that project working. And then you might have presented that project and as the project submission might have been carried out. Is that the same, similar kind of thing would have been happened? Okay, I think I should not say like that way, but I think almost 70% I do observe engineering colleges projects. Very few people actually do that project in a very sincerely. Others, for the sake of submission, they try to follow someone's steps and do it here. We would like to learn software engineering. So what I decided, can we take one particular study, case study, and from today till last day, we'll use that particular case study and we will try to build that case study, and we will try to see how the software engineering process, software engineering tools, and software engineering practices will help us this project documentation as well as project deliverables as well as project deployment happen, so that whatever topics of SDM, they will be properly addressed and they will be properly justified. That is what I think. And I think we would have practical afternoon. So today I'm going with the session. Today also right now we'll go into the session. We'll try to say that next 2 hours, we will have some hands-on session. And in that hands-on session, we'll have some kind of activity. That activity will be something called as a brainstorming activity. But for that brainstorming activity, whatever you like to do it here. So how do you go about it? How do you set that environment? No? That I will guide you. Okay, no? So that is what exactly I like to explain. So what I decided, no, can I take one simple application which is commonly used by everyone, so that we will understand to develop that simple application, how software engineering will be taken care, will be properly understood. I'm talking about something called e-commerce solution. Okay, e-commerce solution. So e-commerce solution, that is what exactly we like to develop. So accordingly now, whatever documentations we have it here, what is the process you will follow? What is the process model you'll go for it? What is the software product you want to develop here? So what is your software process for implementation of this particular e-commerce application? I'll just keep writing here. So accordingly, I have decided for this software process, I like to follow something called agile methodology. Agile methodology. Okay. Next, what is the next point given? What is the process model you will follow for this thing? So what is exactly the process model that we like to talk about it here? So software process, can I just say I like to use the process that is something called as DevOps. Software process model. I like to choose here Agile. And what is your software product? That means ultimately the thing which you want to develop. So I say I like to create something called like e-commerce portal. E-commerce is my portal. That portal will be developed by using agile process model. And this has been done by using something called DevOps. That is what we call process. And that DevOps people talk about something called like CI/CD. CI/CD. Continuous integration, continuous delivery. Even if I just go back and try to look for here, okay, CI/CD word, CI/CD word, and just type it as CI/CD, enter. So normally you always get these diagrams. So I suddenly come across images. When I click on the images, I find some image, and the image has been shown to you here. Can you get it? Shows me some image here where I really find some good image. Simplified image I like to get. I think this image will be simplified image, which will help me to make this concept understand. So what is the software development process that we like to follow? The process I like to follow CI/CD pipeline. Good. When you look around this diagram, what do you get? First of all, does this symbol shows infinity? Yes. Yeah, this symbol is actually mathematical expression, a mathematical word we always call infinity. And what is the meaning of infinity? Continuous, no? There is
Yes,
no
sir.
start,
And
there is no end. You will just be part of this particular process and you will be in that particular process. It might happen that after finishing this CEDAC course, you will go through a campus interview, and after campus interview, you will be inducted by one of the company. And in that company, once you join, so might be after having some kind of training, they would deploy you on certain project. So does that mean since you're going to join that company, there is a new project will be started for you? I don't think so. Because whenever you are going to join that company, there is already project going on. Already seniors are working on that project. And the products might be 18th or 19th version is getting ready. And you are joining that team. And now, after this, you will be also part of that team and you will be also contributing that project. That is what we normally see, correct, no? Yeah. So that means you will come back
Yes.
inside this area and somewhere the planning will be taken place, coding will be done, the build process will be carried out, testing will be done. And if everything is tested and you say zero defect product is ready, now this product will be released. And if the product is released, that product need to be deployed to the production environment, and that is deployed and operate. Where if the web server is been hosted, the website is running, then a lot of data is generated as a log data. That log data has been continuously observed, monitored by your DevOps engineers. And accordingly, whatever their observation, they will try to create in the form of report. And that report is again sent to the dev team. So can you just observe this CI actually really represents dev, and this CD represents as operations. So sometimes you call dev and sometimes you call ops, or you can call continuous integrate. Continuously your product is getting integrated with new features, and continuously whatever new features been available, that new features been incorporated and that has been deployed to the production environment. That is what we really call as nothing but CI/CD. Okay, every project is now getting developed in that particular fashion only. So we call this is actually a kind of concept that is what we call as nothing but your agile methodology. So that methodology we just now talked about, which is nothing but agile methodology. Now, whenever I talk about this agile methodology, can I just go back and copy this word and again come across here? And again, let me just type here something agile methodology. Agile methodology. I press the enter key. Good, fantastic. Agile methodology. A lot of contents are available, but I'll just go back and I'll type the word here, agile methodology. Agile manifesto. I press this button, agile manifesto. I click on the agile manifesto. Can you find whenever you type the agile manifesto, you directly come on official website here? Okay, even you can also access. This is called manifesto for agile software development. So if I just click on that particular link, okay, a lot of contents are there, but first, most important thing, can you see in the background? I think there are 17, there are almost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think there are 8 to 9 people are actually standing in front of one of the whiteboard, correct, no? And they are discussing on some kind of things. And whatever their discussion is going on, that discussion they have actually represented in the form of some particular manifesto. Do you know what is called manifesto? What is the meaning of manifesto? You might have come across manifesto.
List of the tasks that we have to do.
Okay, list of the tasks we have to do. Okay, something extra. Manifesto.
Plan to do.
Okay. Plan is not manifesto. During our college, I don't know in college, but at least during our school, remember when our school gets started, so we always used to recite our Rashtragit. And after Rashtragit is recited, then we always say pledge. Pata hai na? India is my country. All Indians are my brothers and sisters. I love my country. Something like that. So if you are Indian, so during that time, you always take that pledge. And every day you actually remember that pledge. And that tells, that gives information about your nationalism, patriotism in yourself. Correct? And you feel that you are part of one of the group. And we would like to work together as a one countryman. Correct? So that is what you call like a manifesto. So here also, whenever someone wanted to do the software development, actually these all people, okay, this is the kind of manifesto was generated in year 2000. Before 2000, a lot of applications were developed. Those applications were engineering applications, industrial applications. And these applications were getting developed like nothing. But what they observed, whatever applications were getting developed, now out of that, almost 80% applications, whatever they develop, it's of no use. And only 20% applications, they were being deployed on a production environment. And again, those applications were running with the maintenance mode. And huge cost was being paid on a maintenance because those applications were very, very important for the customers. So these all people, can you just look around here? The name of the people are given here. Kent, Mike, Ariel, Watt. There's one very good name is I will call Martin Fowler. Then Robert Martin. Still these people are here today in this world. So these people came together and they really did 5 days continuous brainstorming. And they decided if that is the kind of situation going to have occurred, then I think almost 80% of the software development cost is just getting wasted. So what we should do here, I think we should come up with some kind of agenda. We should come up with some kind of like a standard code of conduct. And we will use that code of conduct for developing all the softwares. So in that thing, they really define this manifesto. And this manifesto is being applied by every company using one particular framework. That framework is called as a Scrum. And this framework, if you want to use it here, Jira is a tool which will help you. This framework, you are really going to use it properly for your application development. So last time when we were talking about Jira, I said that Jira is a software. It is not only for testers. Jira is a software for every member who is going to come in the picture. And using the Jira, the Scrum framework has been properly automated. And you people use that Jira for complete software development activities. And they are actually following this Agile manifesto. What is trying to tell you? It always says that we will take this particular oath. Now, what is this oath? We are uncovering better ways of developing software by doing it and helping others to do it. So we are here to develop the software and we're here to help others to develop the software. Okay. Through this work, we have come to a value. So if you really want to do it here, we have to design our some value system. And what is that value system they're talking about? They're talking about, please focus on those particular 4 lines. This is what exactly we call as the 4 values. Now, what are those 4 values? If you look around, there are certain words are given in a bold. There are certain words which are given bold. There are certain words which are given bold. Certain words are given as a bold. And there are certain words after over keyword are put in a separate way like this. So what they're trying to say, we would like to decide the value where we will give importance to the individuals and interactions. So we will always give importance to the individuals, software tester, software developer, operations engineers, team lead, project manager. Every person is important for us in the software development, not the process and not the tool. If you remember, if you learn programming, so most of the time, if you spend your time for learning Eclipse, and if you spend your time for learning Eclipse and what is the shortcut key for adding a comment and what is the shortcut key for removing a comments, what is the shortcut key for copy and paste? Is it a programming? Tell me. A lot of people shows this particular skill. Yes, I know all kind of shortcuts. And using these shortcuts, they do that work very fine. But they may not be good at in coding, but they know all tools. but they are actually not having complete knowledge here. So what is trying to tell us? Key over processes and over tools. We would like to give more information on the individuals and interactions. So if you look around, these all kind of words focuses on your agile methodology. And the right hand side word is actually focuses on your old traditional way of development. So there are two process models being followed in this IT industry. One is called waterfall model and second is called as a spiral model. In a waterfall model, your software is getting developed in a step by step. And in a spiral model, your software is getting continuously evolved from zero. Okay. Remember, in this whole software development, I'm talking e-commerce application. I will explain all those things through my e-commerce applications. First, individuals and interactions are most important over process and tools. Working software is more important over comprehensive documentation. Have you remembered when your project was submitted during your college? Your black book with the gold-plated letters were created, and you spent almost 4 nights creating that document. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
And that document was submitted, and you were just talking with your other friends. My document is such a nice, and this document is nice, and this document is given. But how many of you really find key whether your software is working? I think might be some of your softwares were running, and might be sometimes it might happen that I think your software was working yesterday, but on the submission day only at the time that didn't work. Correct, no? So that means industry demands working software. Industry don't demand comprehensive documentation. Waterfall model, just step-by-step development kind. It gives more focuses on documentation. And agile methodology gives focus more on the working software. Good. Second thing, customer collaboration or contract negotiation. So some of you remember, some of you may be staying, some of your native place might be some village, or might be some of you from Jalna, some of you might be from Madhya Pradesh, some of you might be from Rajasthan. And now because of this course point of view, you might have come to Mumbai. I'm just guessing. So I think you are staying as a paying guest. So being as a paying guest, you might have signed an agreement with that owner. Why you signed that agreement with that paying the owner, or why owner was expecting that you sign that agreement? Because agreement tells us what are the do's and don'ts. Correct, no? And once that particular agreement is signed, then you follow accordingly. That means there was no mutual trust between that owner and the person. That is why you're actually going for that particular contract negotiation. Rather than, can you just collaborate with your customer? Talk to the customer, understand the customer's requirement, try to get more information of the customers. Always keep yourself always engaged with that application development. आजकल आपको पता है कि whenever you are working in a software industry, they always say, मेरा call है. You always heard about all this thing from your friends. Actually, today it is not possible for me to come down to some particular place because I have a call with a client. Nowadays, in a company, there's a continuously client is interacting with the team, project team, development team, and development team also wanted to have continuous interaction with the client so that they will be wanted to see whether we are on the right track. And because of that, the software is getting developed as per expectation. When the requirement will be given at the time of initial level, even client may not know exact his requirement. So might be after 3, 4, 5 meetings, I think the information will be more evolved, and the work will be carried out. That is what we call customer collaboration or contract negotiation. And what is the last thing? If you just look around, responding to the change or what? Following plan. So any software you want to develop, you don't give importance for the following the plan. Rather than you always try to create a software which is always ready to change itself as the requirements, as the customer will see the demo, customer will give some kind of suggestions, and whatever suggestions customers will give you, you please try to respond to that particular requirements by making the change in next 15 days. And after 15 days, please show that particular product demo to the customer, and customer will accept, or customer will again try to make the suggestions. So what has happened? The 80-20 rule, where 80% softwares were just thrown in a dustbin. Now we really find, I think every software is not getting thrown in a dustbin, but the software is getting evolved day by day. So every company which is a product-based company, or every company which is a project-based company, these all kind of companies are actually following these processes. That is what exactly we really call as nothing but your process model. So I gave an idea about what is exactly process model. I gave exactly idea what is exactly Agile Manifesto. If you really wanted to see that particular website, okay, you will also get that website. I hope I have access to share this particular thing in a chat window. Could you find? In a chat window, I already shared that link. So after some times, you can use the link to go in more details and understand that yourself. I will be revisiting this particular website number of times while going for the application engineering. Correct? Good. Fantastic. Now I'm going back to the point. Chalo. Software product. E-commerce portal. So there is a requirement to build e-commerce application. So according to the software engineering principles, I said that we have a concept called, correct? No, there are certain phases are there in your software engineering. There are certain phases are available. So what are the phases? We call that particular phases something called requirement gathering. So phases of software engineering. If I just say, we normally say different kind of phases there. Number one, we call it here as nothing but your requirement gathering. Requirement gathering. Now we will just talk in terms of e-commerce application point of view. Requirement gathering. Second thing, requirement gathering, and we call this analysis. Second, what do you call? Requirement gathering, analysis, design. Okay, design, where you really design your software. Third, development. Fourth, testing. Fifth, could you guess? Deployment. Sixth, could you guess?
Maintenance.
Yeah, you may call it maintenance, or you can call support, tech support. Okay, no? You may call maintenance, I'll call them as a word tech support. Okay, no? These are the different phases of your software development. We normally talk about it here. So under requirement gathering, you gather the requirement. Okay. Then you take the requirement, you do analysis. Under that analysis, then you talk about what are your requirements, and these requirements you try to represent by using two labels. So your requirements you really represent by using something called as a functional requirements. Whatever e-commerce application you want to design. So what are my functional requirements of the e-commerce application? Functional, sorry. Functional requirements and non-functional requirements. That we define it here. Okay. And this, all those things you define by using one particular document. That document in our engineering, we call that document as a SRS document. Okay. Software Requirement Specification Document. SRS stands for Software Requirement Specification Document. And under that document, we define what are the functional requirements, what are the non-functional requirements. And once this particular requirements has been properly understood, then people go for implementing design. Then you really have something called like a design. So what is your data design? How you are going to organize your data? Remember during our DBMS session, you will come across something called ER diagrams, data flow diagrams. I remember something called normalization. First normal form, second normal form, third normal form. Did you come across? I think
Yes, sir.
because of that normalization, you were able to identify the relationship between the two department and employee table. So one employee can belong to one department, but one department can have multiple employees. So we say there's a one-to-many relationship between all those things. So they all are defined by using some diagrams. We call these diagrams as your data designs, data flow diagram. So we get the requirement, we understand that requirement, and we convert that requirement in the form of designs. That is nothing but diagram. So if you're a mechanical engineer, if you're a civil engineer, everyone tries to create a blueprint. And according to the blueprint, the construction work gets started. So every time your site engineer always refer that plan, which is nothing but the blueprint, and automatically he gives the proper instructions to the construction workers and others to carry further this construction work. So if it is happening for electrical department, electrical engineering, if it is happening for mechanical engineering, if it is happening for every engineering, why can't it be software engineering? So in software engineering, we also have diagrams. So now if you're going to build this software by using object-oriented way, so your software will be designed using object-oriented way. So you need to come up with some diagrams. These diagrams, we call them as a UML diagrams. UML diagrams. Now you come across and you say, I wanted to go for development. So for development, what do you really want? I think for development, you really require something called code base. Code base means where you write a code. Where you write a code, you debug that code.
ID.
Very good. You use ID. Using ID. Sometimes you also do some unit testing. Nowadays, I do observe a lot of software developers have been asked to write their class unit test. Okay. And then further, we say software testing. And under the software testing, then we really follow some model. And that model people call as a V model. V model. And under that, we follow different types of testing. So might be there's something called as a unit testing. Might be there's something called as a system testing. Might be there's a concept here called as a integration testing. So unit testing, integration testing, system testing, something I have missed out. Yes. Can you guess?
Regression and retesting.
Yes. I'll call it a customer acceptance testing. Customer acceptance testing. And plus a lot of testing are there. I think someone was saying he was working as an automation test engineer, correct? No? So being as an automation testing engineer, he was responsible for web testing. Some of you are actually testing the functionality of the application, how fast is working, using something called load testing.
Performance testing.
Yes, something called performance testing. See, this is what you call software engineering. In that whole area, if you just look around, whatever we really focus, this is this one. Writing C# class, writing Java class, using object-oriented programming concept, then building HTML page, writing CSS file, developing React components, using that fetch method to call a REST API, or developing that particular web API, REST API, Spring Boot API, using JPA. That is all kind of area. If you just look on this whole process, it's just third part. So is it giving you idea in this whole kind of process, how much is the role for a developer? I would just say it's a very small role. Yeah, that is important, but even other roles are very important. If the design is not properly created, the development code will go wrong. If the analysis is not properly done, testing cannot be defined properly. If the requirement is you want to carry it further here itself, correct? No. So what is your system requirement? Functional requirement is non-functional requirement against systems requirement. Now, what is the meaning of system requirements? This e-commerce application, what I'm talking about, this e-commerce application will be running on one server, on two servers, or is this e-commerce application, it will be deployed in a cloud, and that time we would like to use something called Kubernetes? Or are we going to develop this application and deploying this application in a virtualized environment? Or are we going to run this application using properly containers, Docker containers? I think that is the kind of feasibility study that expectations will be actually defined under the requirement, so that this information will be given to the deployment team. And deployment team will be able to create an infrastructure for production ready application. So under deployment, what is really required? Okay, so I'll call it here as a hosting environment creation, monitoring applications at runtime. That is what exactly we do that deployment. And if you want to do deployment, correct, no? Steps for deployment. When I say tech support, now the application is perfectly running very well. So we would like to see applications really working as per the expectations. So they use something called like a logging, reporting. So logging, what's the meaning of logging? Can you just tell me? Logging, log. Yes, log. Did you use some log concept in your programming during Java, or might be during your C# code?
Yes,
I
sir.
do understand whenever that Visual Studio.NET was used and you created your MVC controller. Have you observed when that MVC controller was created, the home controller was actually internally having something called iLogger interface in a constructor. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So whenever you try to use Visual Studio and try to create some kind of controller, under that controller, it always makes the first parameter iLogger as a parameter, dependency injection parameter for the home control. That is called logger. That means whenever any action method of your controller gets called, we would like to dump certain data to the log file. So that by reading the log files, your system administrators will find whether all functions are getting successfully called. Or let us get the scenario. If your e-commerce application has been deployed on a production, and we want to know how many users are using your home controller, and how many times your home controller has been used, and how many times your shopping cart controller has been used, and how many people are using shopping cart controller. So what will happen? Every shopping cart controller's method, I will try to do log, and some log files data will be done. So data will be serialized under JSON file. And such kind of JSON files will be continuously growing. And our system administrators are just observing that log files, and they will find that things are going perfectly, or whether somewhere the things are going down. Because in a production environment, we do not use debugger. Debugger is only available during the time of developer's machine. In production level, there is no debugger. Then how do you know where the things are going wrong? That is always checked by using log files. Okay. And if that is a log file, these log files are actually always maintained under this word tech support job. So this is the way I will just explain you the different phases of software engineering. Now, if I try to show something very important, if I just do one thing, see now what is happening. Have observed. Just observe what is happening in this case. Sometimes during training, we also need some pause. So that we'll also have some mental relaxation time. Don't you observe? This is look like as a one directional flow. First requirement will be done. When all requirement will be completed, then only your design will start. If design is completed, then your development will start. When development will be finished, only then testers will be working. And if the tester has said the product is zero defect product, only then the deployment will be started. And once the deployment is done, then your maintenance will be going on. I think this is the kind of model we really call as a waterfall model. Okay. So in a waterfall model, whenever you talk about e-commerce application, so in that e-commerce application, what they do during their requirement gathering, they create SRS document. Under the SRS document, they define the functional requirements. They gather all the information. So don't think whenever you're going to have this requirement gathering, how this requirement gathering will be taken place. It's a waterfall model I'm talking about now. These are all the phases of software engineering. These phases of the software engineering, if they have been kept like a one by one, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Now you cannot come back to the previous step. You'll always go to the next step. You are never allowed to go previous step. So don't think whenever you are listening my lecture, you understand everything, whatever I said. Sometimes you listen a lot of things, but due to some kind of reason, you might miss certain points. Or might be some kind of very important call has been received. So you just get yourself away from the lecture and you just take the call and you again come back. So what do you find? You are missing something inside this area. So you want to reconnect that thing. What do you do? We always use recorded sessions and watch all those things. Now think about e-commerce application we wanted to develop for a company. That company is called that company is called something called Myntra. So Myntra is one of the company. They said to us, we wanted to have e-commerce application. So why did you come for requirement gathering? So who will go for requirement gathering? So definitely in our company, we will have a project team. So now this e-commerce application, what is your project? So my project is e-commerce. Who is your customer? My customer is Myntra. Okay. Myntra. What are the team? Who are the team members? So if this is going to be the software, in that software, who are going to be members? So we will say in that thing, we will require some people who have a domain expertise, domain experts. So we'll have domain experts. Now you'll ask me a question, who are domain experts? I think those people who understand online business, people who understand what are the pros and what are the cons of online business. They have a lot of experience of visiting multiple different types of e-commerce sites. We call them as domain experts. Second thing, we will require here something called software architects. Software architects. Software architects. I think software architects are those people who have more than 10 to 12 years of experience of developing such kind of online applications for different customers. Because these people have already delivered such kind of product for different kind of companies. So I think these are the right people who can gather information very well. So we should pass them. That means one thing I have to understand, whenever the requirement gathering will happen, requirement gathering is not going to be done by developers. We will have domain experts, we'll have software architects, and quality assurance teams, because these people are responsible for defining whether the product is really developed properly or not. So they have to be introduced in the initial meetings of the software development process. And that initial phase of your software engineering, it is nothing but the requirement gathering. And that requirement gathering, the quality assurance team would have been asked. And sometimes we may have some kind of Senior developers. Sometimes they would be, sometimes they would not be. I think that is what we call team members. And these team members are going to be there. And these team members will be going to the client side and discussing. There will be frequent meeting will be taken place. They will be capturing the information. And they are going to create certain document according to waterfall model. And that document we really call as a SRS document. Would you please tell me, have you initiated the project phase of your CDAC course? Yes.
Not yet, sir.
Whether any particular project topic has been selected by you? Whether your faculty asked you ki now, once your CC exam gets over, so during that time you have to work on one particular CDAC project. So is that the topic has been shortlisted or not? yet?
Not the topic, sir, but we have been instructed about the project after this.
Acha.
Only team members.
Okay, good. That means first you have done one thing, you have identified your team. So what is the game to play? That is not important, but finding the teams is very important, correct? No, that is a perfect sign of agile methodology. We give more importance to the individuals and their interactions over process and tools, correct? No, so that's why you might have found some other friends who will work together and to work on the project. Good, fantastic. But I think in your case, how many team members you have been asked to choose for your project in CDAC?
Like, they are assign us team like for 5 to 6 members in each team.
Acha, that means the project team will be having almost 5 to 6 team members together, and these 5 to 6 team members will be working together to build that software, correct? No?
Yes.
Very good. Fantastic. Understood very well. So in that area, I think it might happen that once your CDAC course gets over, they will ask, not CDAC course, your CC exam gets over, then they will ask you, choose your topic. So the topic is chosen here, e-commerce application, online shopping portal. I'm helping. I think this knowledge will help you for your CDAC project. Online shopping portal. Good. Coming back close. Second thing, inside this, you are going to define functional requirements for your project. Functional requirements. Can you tell me, if someone says we wanted to have a e-commerce application, means what are the exactly expectations one software is called as e-commerce application? What do you think? If someone says, okay, I want to build application, something called like a railway reservation system. So if railway reservation system, it is the application I really wanted to design, develop, and test all those things. So I would say in that thing, reservation is the most important thing. Second is the schedule of the passenger trains. Second thing,
Payment.
different payments, very good. Third thing, the timetable. Fourth, I think the customer related information. Then cancellation of the tickets. I think these are the kind of core requirements your software should perform, correct? No? We call this as a functional requirements. So like that way you talk about what are the functional requirements for e-commerce application? Can you guess? If it is e-commerce application, if I really go back and try to find some e-commerce application inside this area.
Category of product.
Pardon?
Product.
Category of product.
That means you normally say category of products. Amazon.in. So let's go and see the site. It's always good if you want to develop certain software. You always try to find corresponding such software is already in used or not, because that software, when you observe, you'll get a lot of good ideas. Okay, no? So that's why I also highly recommend you, whenever you choose your project for your final, do one thing, whatever project title you select, go back and check such kind of project has been already been delivered, deployed, and it's working. That will give you very good knowledge. So suddenly I just come across Amazon.in and I suddenly find here, you perfectly said that here it shows me different types of product which are available for selling purpose, correct? No? Very good. I think your products can be categorized. Okay. I can search also. Okay. I can see the information about the product. I can see the ratings given by other people. And at the same time, if I really like this particular book, I can get the details of the product. And I can find this product you can purchase through EMI, this product you can pay directly. And we also have here, if this product you like to use it here, there's a button available somewhere. Add to the cart, no? Yes. Add to the cart. So if I click on the option called add to the cart, the product is added to the shopping cart. And I think I could see there are 6 items are kept in my shopping cart, correct? No? Right?
Yes.
And we do observe there's a the book I have just added to my shopping cart. And I just close this website. And after 3 and 4 days, I go back and I again access www.amazon.in. And I'm trying to access the same site. Can you see the shopping cart still contain that particular book here?
Yes.
Yes. Then if there is a book available, can I just do one thing? Can I click the option called delete? Can I select delete? Have you observed what happened?
Yes, sir.
Your shopping cart is empty. Correct, no? So that means you wanted to provide a shopping cart capabilities. You wanted to provide product related informations. And if the product has been already selected, what is the option available here? So what was that option? We clicked
Returns and all that.
returns and orders. So is it something related or placing order, canceling order? Yes.
Yes.
And might be something related to online payment. Yes. Very good. And can you get one more thing here itself? Hello. Sign in. And once I sign in, hello Ravi Tamade. And Ravi Tamade's personal information is kept. Ravi Tamade's order history will be shown. Ravi Tamade's wish list will be shown. Ravi Tamade's recommendation will be given. Okay, no? Ravi Tamade might have subscribed for some particular thing. That information is going to be continuously updated. I think this is kind of the basic features any particular e-commerce application should require. What do you think? Correct, no? Yeah.
Yes.
So whether it's a Myntra.com site, whether it's an Amazon.com site, or whether it's a Jabong.com site, any kind of e-commerce application, I think should have it here. So tomorrow it might happen that you wanted to launch your own kind of education online. You know, there's a concept called software as a service. Your software is going to be available as a service. Platform as a service. Now the platform is available as a service. Infrastructure as a service. You don't have to have infrastructure to run applications. You can go to the cloud and use that infrastructure on a rental basis and keep your application running. So tomorrow it may happen that teacher as a service. That means Ravi Tamade will not go to CDAC for conducting sessions. Rather than Ravi Tamade will have his own kind of EduTech website. And under that EduTech website, he will have a number of courses created. And this number of courses, students can enroll and students can subscribe for that course. And they will pay some kind of subscription amount for that course. And they will keep track of how many topics they have covered, how many assignments they have covered. And this whole education will be carried out through online way. So whether it's a EduTech online, whether it's take a shopping online, I do find these are the common features we always require for any particular applications. So these common features actually we really call as nothing but functional requirements. Real functionality of the application we actually call as a functional requirements. So from that perspective, now as we just gone through, now someone said that, what is that? The product, no? Product and categories. Can we give name for that product catalog? So this functional requirement should capture product catalog. Product catalog means where the website is responsible for managing different types of products available for selling purpose. This website will be responsible for showing product details with all prices, everything. This website will be able to show products based on their categories. This website will be able to provide this product popularity based on their likes, based on their recommendations. I think that all kind of functionality, we will keep it under one particular module. What is the word used here? Module.
Mhm.
Did you come across this module word during your CEDAC course? Where did you come across this module word? I think you come across the word this model by using a word called modularity. And this modularity word you might have come across during object-oriented programming. Remember abstraction, encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism,
Okay, sir.
typing, concurrency, persistence, and modularity. So there are three major pillars of object-oriented technology: abstraction, encapsulation, inheritance. But there are minor pillars of object-oriented technology. Okay. Typing, concurrency, persistence, and modularity. So your functional requirements normally capture different types of modules within your system. And one of the module is called product. In Java, you call it as a package. In .NET, we call it as a namespace. And in Node.js, you call it as a module. Remember? npm install command, npm install MySQL, npm install Express. Have you tried this command during your WPT session?
Yes.
So when those commands you tried, that time, that module, MySQL connector was downloaded in your machine. When you type the command npm install Express, that time that Express module was downloaded in your physical machine. That means the complete software components has been given the form of independent modules. There's a concept called divide and rule principle. If your software is very vast, building such a vast software is very, very difficult. Then can you break this software into independent modules? And ask one developer team to work on one model, ask another developer team to work on another model. So they will develop independent models. And then these models will be integrated. And finally, your software will take a shape. So that is the word called as a modularity. So in a functional requirement, we are trying to capture about online shopping application. One of them is product catalog. Second thing, could you guess? Here's something called shopping cart.
Cart.
Pardon?
Cart.
Yeah, cart. Yeah, very good. Cart. So can I write here shopping cart? So this shopping cart is a module which is responsible for managing the shopping cart for every customer. So every customer who connect to a website, he will add certain products in which he is interested, and that product will be maintained in shopping cart. He may remove, he may add. So add to the cart, remove from the cart. Show all cart items. I think this is the kind of shopping cart management related functioning should be kept under one module. That model we call as a shopping cart model. Now think about what is next. I think if the shopping cart is done, what is the next process get started? Order processing. Because you want to purchase now. Yes. Buy now. That is a
Yes.
button shown to you. So when you click buy now, what is the next workflow will be started? What's the next flow will be started? I think that next flow will do one thing. Whatever data you have already kept in a shopping cart, now you have to convert in the form of order. You need to create an order. You need to confirm this order. And you need to ask your end user to pay against that order so that the order will be placed. Am I right? So if that is the thing required, I think we wanted that person should be user of that website, no? Aapne dekha hai? When I went back to this particular e-commerce application here, and if I just go back and select some mobile phone, and I find a lot of mobile phones are available, and I wanted to purchase some particular mobile phone and accessories, mobile phones might be something, and you're really choosing some mobile phone accessories. and you click on that particular mobile phone accessory, you say add to the cart. That has been added to the shopping cart. It has been added to the shopping cart, right? No. Now, once it is added to the shopping cart, it is there. What is the message been available here? Have you observed? Proceed to checkout, no? Yes. So once you click on the proceed to checkout, what happened?
Sign in.
That means only those users who are members of this website, they will be only allowed to place an order. Yes or no? So
Yes.
if you really want to purchase something from online shopping application, you need to first sign in as a user. And once you sign as a user, then only you will be able to get that particular thing and your order processing will be started. So don't think user authentication, user authorization will be also one of the most important concept.
Yes.
We want it. There are certain content will be available publicly, but there are certain content will be accessible only for those people who are users. And if we say that this website is getting access by end users for purchasing the product, but not only this website also will be accessed by the marketing team to just check how much sales has been done. Don't this website will be accessed by that company's director just to see whether our target is getting achieved or not. And there are chances this website is actually having a lot of dealers in background. They also wanted to get the information from this website. That means this website is not just a website going to be accessed by one type of category users. This website will be accessed by users, retailers, dealers, board of directors, sales and marketing representatives, and plus end users. So that means there will be something called multiple roles, correct? No? So that means we wanted to have roles management. And we wanted to have membership. So whether he is a valid user, whether he is invalid user, whether he is having a role manager or whether he is having a role as an admin, I think that should be need to be cross-checked. And that is a very, very important function. You should have it for your e-commerce application point of view. So can't we have a separate module for it? So accordingly, what we do, we come across here and we define, oh, we'd like to have one more extra module. Membership and what is written here? Membership and rules management. Adding new user, registering new user, changing the personal information of the user, canceling user, approving user, roles management, adding new role, assigning a role, removing particular role for a particular user. I think that all kind of things will be kept under this particular membership and rules management part. Good. Now you said orders management, correct? No? Can I use a name called order processing? So let us give that name for that module, something called orders processing. Means creating order, verifying order, then canceling order if order already there. You know, there is a concept, you can cancel order 24 hours before order place. Yes, no?
Yes. Yes.
So that means if some order has been placed, so you still have permission that you can cancel this order in 24 hours before. So order cancellation. Okay. Order history. So what are the orders I already placed? What are my previous orders I placed? What is the status of the order which I placed? I think that all kind of function is, we'd like to club it under order processing module itself. Good. After order processing, what do you find? I think we also wanted to have something called like online payment, no? Yes. Because the heart of this whole e-commerce application is only nothing but the payment. If consumer is not paying, then provider will not earn money. And if provider doesn't earn money, provider cannot handle this much of infrastructure. So you need to have proper trading happen between the end user and the company. So you wanted a perfect payment gateway integration or online payment. So that means we would like to say here, we would like to have a separate module which will take care of the payment.
So then what about stocks which are available or not?
Very good. So that means you also talk about something called inventory, no?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So that means you say, I would like to maintain the inventory. So actually I decided ki if there is a product catalog available, the product catalog itself will maintain inventory. So the catalog will be maintained. Under the catalog, it will maintain how many stocks are available. Correct, no? And if the stocks are getting low, automatically the corresponding retailer will be sent a message, and just within 2 to 3 hours, I think those products will be made available into the warehouse of that company's
Yes.
place. Correct, no?
Yes.
So in your case, you may decide inventory management as a separate module, or you may keep product catalog model separate and inventory model separate. Now it totally depends on the vastness and the complexity of the application. So sometimes it may happen that two models will be merged together, or sometimes it may happen that one module will be split into two different models because of its complexity. And accordingly, this application will keep evolving. So one thing, have you observed, just within one meeting, would it be possible for you to capture this all information?
No, sir.
No, sir.
I think normally we say that okay, whenever people are going for a client visit, so your client is somewhere in Dubai, just get a scenario. Your client is in Dubai, and that Dubai client said that, would you please come and gather the requirement from our side? We will make the arrangement to everything. So that means your team, domain expert, your software architect, your quality assurance team, your senior developers, they would have been allowed to fly to Dubai to the customer side. Your accommodation would be done in perfect hotel. In the evening, there's a party will be thrown to you. Now that time, are we going to capture the requirements?
No.
कौन अपने पार्टी का रंग खराब करना चाहता है? Correct, no? So people will enjoy party. Second day there will be meeting. Now you will be in a hangover. You are not fully ready to capture the requirement, and you go for the customer. And even customer is so busy with his all kind of work, so he will give you time, something called like a 1.5 hour, and within 1.5 hour he will just come and just explain. So definitely first CEO will come. Along with CEO, he will introduce his directors. Directors will actually introduce their operations managers, and the operations managers will start giving that information. So don't think in one day you'll capture all the requirements. Not possible. Because the person who's going to give the requirement, he also may not have complete clarity. And the person who wanted to capture the requirement, he may not have complete clarity. So just within one meeting, that is not possible. We will really require multiple meetings need to be carried out. But normally in waterfall model, what happened? In waterfall model, they say that now for next 7 days, you are supposed to go to the client side, you are supposed to capture the requirement. तो मुझे लगता है 7 days if they are going for client side and capture the requirement, तो requirement कितनी capture होती होगी और party में कितना celebration किया होगा. It's a joke part, but I like to tell you in that scenario, I think waterfall model is not good in that case. Even actually, I may not be mature enough. Just within one meeting, I will be able to capture. Because once I come back India, then I suddenly ask, this is the question I was supposed to ask. I didn't ask. But now I cannot get the appointment of the director or the operations manager. So I have to just carry on the whole work. And after 3 months, I have to show some demo for that thing. So during that time, it might happen that in between this particular thing, I may come up with some kind of prototype. And in that case, in that particular 1 month area, the business might have been slightly changed. So whatever product you would have created, this product may not be now useful because of the current business situation. So your customer will not be accepting that product. And customer will again say, no, that is not what we expected. So you cannot have a contract negotiation with that company. So you already said these are the requirements. We really did that work. Almost for 1.5 months, we did work on this area and we come up with a solution. But now you're saying it is not there. So are we going to talk in a harsh language with the customer? No.
No.
Only because of this reason, 80% projects are thrown into the dustbin and 20% project remains in a maintenance mode. But this whole process, if it is done by using agile way, so during that time, every 15 days, every after 3-4 days or every after 7 days, there's a continuous meeting is happening with the customer. Every evening, customer is actually interacting with your Zoom call. So even if something has been forgotten, yesterday's meeting, I think today we will have that information and we will make slight change. So no big changes to be done because it was just a yesterday's session. That is the real advantage of agile methodology. But still there are people who are very good at, they know how to capture the information. But in one meeting, that is not going to capture your domain expertise, your understanding, your number of years of experience really makes you creating this SIS document. So you tell me, writing some Spring Boot API application is easy, or writing the SRS document will be easy? What do you think? During our college, during our school days, it has been always asked, can you write the essay on Mumbai traffic jam? So our teacher used to give one subject, one tagline they use. Tomorrow you're supposed to come up with the essay writing. And the essay writing will be traffic jam in Mumbai. And now you come back home. And now tomorrow somehow I want to submit that traffic jam. So during that time, what normally thing happens? So the kind of education system we always have, we go to the Google, we type Mumbai traffic jam plus essay. And nowadays, last from 3 years, something has happened. The ChatGPT is introduced, and the ChatGPT, we just type, okay, Mumbai traffic jam essay, and this large language model really come up with the text, and that data is available. But don't you think writing that paragraph itself is one of the challenging tasks? Just think any particular MVC application you want to develop. There's a standard process. You write a table. You write a repository. You write service. You write controller. I hope that is the way you created your Java application. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Table was having a Pojo class. Pojo class was having a repo. The repo was built by using Hibernate. That repo was actually used inside a service. You created one service with the interface. And that interface you injected into the constructor of the controller. And that is the way you return almost 15 controllers. So don't think writing a simple software has got a steady work. एक controller होगा, एक service होगा, एक repository होगी, और एक database होगा. Behind database we'll have some kind of store procedure. In database we'll have number of tables. A skeleton is there. But inside, what will be the table? What are going to be the fields? What will be the relationship? Which class we should make it repository? What are the methods we should keep it under the service? What are the methods we should declare as action method for the controller? I think that requires a knowledge, correct? No? And that is what you call your expertise. So what I want to tell you, I think here we requires a human skill. So human skill is actually focusing more on analysis, cognition, thinking, okay, problem solving. Okay, these are what exactly is your part. I think that's still your generative AI about to come. It is still there left for us that we can utilize. And there are certain templates available. You just go to that particular STS and click something called like a STS Spring Boot API. You get a complete folder structure created for you. Correct, no? So you never develop a Spring Boot application writing each and every individual file. What do? You use that particular Maven command. Am I right? One Maven command was typed and the complete folder structure was created. So in this whole software development, I would like to tell you the most important thing and most challenging work, if something is there, that is nothing but requirement engineering. That's why people who are architect, people who are domain experts, people who are actually senior developers, people who are quality assurance, I think these people have been paid very heavily. Because if they really create this particular document, this function requirements very well, then only your software developers can reproduce the code. But code to be reproduced for which class and which method, that has to be properly guided by this documentation. So that's why this knowledge gathering, this analysis is very, very important. And we call it is nothing but your functional requirements. We are still keeping our thinking going on for which perspective? We're thinking this all kind of perspective going on for the e-commerce application point of view. Online payment. Good. Any other model you like to suggest? Online payment, order processing, membership and roles management, shopping,
Or
or something like that.
delivery location detect,
Pardon?
like delivery location detect, like live
Shipping,
location of
shipping
customer.
and
Very
tracking.
good. Fantastic. Shipment, can I say? Shipment, no? So under that shipment, everything is there. The parcel is created. Now the parcel to be sent from to where. Then the parcel is, if it's not accepted, then again, there's a concept called cash on delivery.
Yes.
I think all those things need to be captured. So don't think if you really want to really gather these requirements, we should be able to gather this requirement using this particular modular form. And bending your thinking level like this by identifying modules is actually what we call as a functional requirements. Are you getting? That is what we really call as a functional requirements. Now, next thing comes here. That is nothing but here inside. Something you like to suggest here? Tell me. Shipment, online payment, order processing, membership and roles management, shopping
Sir,
cart.
they also maintain sales data, no?
They also maintain?
Sales data.
Ah, very good. I think we also want to maintain the sales data. So we call that in our business word or name. That name is called here as a CRM. You know what is the full form CRM? Customer Relationship Management. Okay. CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management. And under this Customer Relationship Management, I think it contains every kind of information about a customer, about sales, everything. So that also we like to maintain. So can we have a separate module for it? CRM. And that is what exactly we normally define inside. That is what you call as a CRM. So shipment, online payments, order processing, membership, shopping cart, product catalog. These are the kind of my functional requirements I need to define for my application. And I will be able to have it here like this way. This, my dear friend, we normally call as a functional requirements. Then it is now next job. You need to go back on this product catalog, and on this product catalog, can you write some 4-5 lines of code, four 1 lines of English sentences, not the code. What do we mean by product catalog? What do we mean by shopping cart? What do we mean by order processing? What do we mean shipment? Okay, that is what exactly we start capturing under this particular SRS document, which we call as a functional requirements. Yes. Now, next thing comes, if these are the functional requirements you need to capture, at the same time, I also said something. There is another kind of requirements here. Have you observed? I think I deleted that word. Non-functional requirements, no? Non-functional requirements. Now, what do you think? What are functional requirements? Understand the core functionality of that particular application that we are trying to capture. And you say now, what is that particular non-functional requirements? Could you guess what exactly would have been non-functional requirements? Someone can help me. Definitely, I'll be giving answer, but I'd like to see if you could.
Our application will be work on the different types of browsers.
Very good.
Just like
So
the
that means-
compatibility.
Yeah, you would like to talk about something called like compatibility, correct? No?
Yes, yes.
So that means if this application is created, this application can be accessed by using Chrome, each version of the browser, each Chrome browser. We would like to see this application can be accessible through Mozilla. Even we like to see this application also getting access using Microsoft Edge. And there should not be any problem. So multiple browser support we want to have for this application. So that means you're talking about non-functional requirements are nothing but behavioral. Behavioral points. So how your application will behave in a production environment. Addressing that points are very important. So one is called browser compatibility. Very good. Second thing,
Data
can I say
security.
performance?
Also security.
Data.
Okay, you can also say security part, correct? No? Can I say availability? Your application should be always available. It should not happen that when I try to access application at 1 o'clock, the application was not available and there was message said you will access this web application only after 4 o'clock. So this is not like a Pune shoppers stop. Where in Pune we always say 1 o'clock say leke 4 o'clock. I think most of the shops in Sadashipet are always kept closed. Okay, that is a myth now. That is not the case. So you always wanted to see your website is always going to be there 24 hours, 7 days running. The application should not be down. We wanted to see availability. Security. If this application will be deployed on a server, these servers are supposed to be highly protected. Did you come across some word called firewall? Do you know what is firewall? If there are number of servers are there, these are numbers of servers has been connected by using one particular one server. So all the requests comes to that particular server, and for that server, there are certain rules has been configured, inbound rules and out of bound rules. During AWS session, I will show those things. So you can really make certain ports open, you can make certain ports off, or we can allow only those IP addresses will be allowed to access application and other IP addresses not allowed. So firewall is some kind of like a technique you use to protect your servers from outside hackers. So we also need to maintain that thing itself. Performance. If the request has been sent, just within some millisecond, you should get a response. So if number of users are increased, we don't want to see there's a lagging time for any end user for getting the response. We wanted to get that information over itself. Second thing, reliability. Reliability, could you guess? Reliable. We always say, no, okay, he is not reliable. If one friend comes to me and the friend asks me money from me, so during that time I give money to him and I'll say, yes, I don't mind giving money to him because he's reliable. And he will return me money by hook or crook. He will never steal my money. That is what we call reliability. So in this particular e-commerce application point of view, what is reliable? Have you observed the diagram which I drawn last time? Can you see this is one particular web server. This is one particular web server. This is another web server. Due to some kind of reason, if this web server goes down, don't think still there are two servers are there to handle your request? If there are 3 web servers are kept,
Yes.
what do you think? So if I kept 3 servers and I know one server has gone down, still my other servers are ready to receive the request and process the response, send the responses. My application is always there. So I would say, yes, my application is reliable. So if your application is so famous, so busy, so during that time, your company need to spend some infrastructural cost and make that environment like this. Your development is another word and your infrastructure management is another word. So whatever features you normally see in non-functional requirements, these are the requirements which are something for your operations management point of view. So if I could just come across and get that notepad file here. Okay, no? Reliability. That is what exactly we really use the word. Correct, no? Any
Then
other thing?
should also have scalability, no, sir, to add more servers.
Yes.
Can we say it as robust?
How do you address scalability? Scalability.
Increasing the size of the server, using adding the new servers, or by increasing the capacity of the same server.
Or
Yes.
adding extra server.
Very good. Did I say something here? What is the word I use here? Can
Cluster,
you see this word?
Plus
cluster.
DB cluster. Okay, you know? So cluster is such a kind of mechanism where even though your machines are running, you can add one server or you can remove existing server. So there's a word called scale in, scale out. Okay, you know? So if your application is getting so vast in demand, so during that time, you would be able to add new servers inside, or you would be able to remove certain server inside. So you can scale your application, scale in and scale out. So we wanted such kind of infrastructure management. And to do that particular work itself, in our cloud computing, we have got a concept called containers. Okay. There's a concept called Docker container. We are going to see that thing somewhere in our Friday or Saturday session. Or might be Saturday session. Containers. You can create number of containers, or you can close certain containers, or we can replicate our website in multiple containers, and we can channelize your request to multiple containers, and we can manage scalability. That is what exactly we normally call. So there are so many kind of things are available. Good, very good.
Maintainability.
Very good. So maintainability. Now put a guess maintainability point of view. Maintainable.
Ability to update or kind of maintain user.
Maintainability.
Like easy to update or something for product.
Yes. That means you tell me, whenever this Amazon.com site was created and this Amazon.com site was published, you know, when this Amazon.com site was published? In 2000. Okay. The website which you are using here today, it is launched publicly in 2000. And the domain name still it is same, Amazon.com. And this website in 24 years has been evolved with a lot of features. Correct, no? And we always find there's a new feature has been available. We don't know that there's a new feature available. We just click something, there is a new feature available. So what do we find? Now every software is getting evolved with additional functions. And there are certain features which are of no use. They're automatically getting deprecated. Have you used this word deprecated during Java?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, deprecate ka
Yes, sir.
matlab hota kya? Some libraries which are actually no more used further. So you don't have to use those libraries. Rather than use some other library. So let us get the scenario. Whenever your software has been created, now this software has been used and customers are actually having some problem with one of the feature of the software. So rather than throwing complete software, can we just remove that particular part and just replace by using some other particular components? So we say, you please remove that part and again put the part. But now this time you new release. You give new update. So this particular software is always getting updated after 15 days, after 1 month. And we find, yes, the software has been maintained for longer duration. We always love to visit that website, the website which is continuously maintained by that particular IT company or that particular Amazon company. where they are always keeping track of their software and just trying to remove things which are unnecessary and adding some new things inside. इसलिए तो कंपनी में लोग बोलते हैं ना कि अरे आज हमारा रिलीज है. That means this team is working on that particular software almost from 2 years, and every after 15 days they do some kind of work on that particular area for 15 days, and after 15 days they used to give demo to the customer, and if customer says yes, then that particular updates are available on a production site. And then again next 15 days they get some input from the customer and they start work on that area, and again after 15 days they will again try to go for release, and again they make second updates. And nowadays you are using mobile phones, correct? No? And if you're using mobile phones, there are a lot of mobile apps available. So you also try to see, no, after 7 days or after 10 days, it says there are new updates are available for your mobile app. And you just click on that and the app get downloaded, and you really find some new features are available. So don't think in this whole world, you cannot create any particular software, extraordinary software. Please listen carefully. No one can create extraordinary software. Everyone creates a software, ordinary software. And as they get input from the customer, they start refining their product and they start giving new updates. And the customer's acceptance is being increased. And customer keep using your applications and you get new service level agreement, and your project is being extended and you are getting your salary. I think that is what we really call as a maintainability. So reliability, scalability, availability, performance, browser compatibility, so many things are there that you try to address under this. That is what we really call as a non-functional requirements. Okay, that we normally define inside.
Nationalization.
Yes.
Localizations.
Can I use that word here as a
Nationalization.
internationalization?
Yeah.
Sometimes the word is used called internationalization or multilingual support.
So adaptability.
Yes, good.
And we should also make it portable, no? So it will be available on Linux, Macs, and
Yes,
all
that
other
is whatever applications you really try to define, there's all kind of applications you also want to make it portable, no? So first,
Yeah.
I'll write here localization. What is the meaning of localization? Can somebody tell me? Localization.
That it should be available in multiple languages.
How? If someone just changed the language of the browser from English to Hindi, and that person try to access a website, your website will show every kind of content in Hindi. Correct, no?
Yes, sir.
So most of you might have observed, if your parents are not good at in English and you have given them a smartphone, so what you would have done? You would have chosen the language here Marathi. And suddenly the complete mobile phone is actually having Marathi commands, Marathi textures. And your parents are very easily using WhatsApp. They are very easily using Instagram. They're using other kind of banking applications, but everything is Marathi, correct? No? But the same kind of mobile phone, if I'm using, so I will just change the language culture from Marathi to English, then I suddenly get the website. That means website is same. But for that website, localization support is applied. We call multilingual support. So because of that multilingual support, your application become like a international application. And this international application can be accessed by any person in this world. So we call it a localization. Okay, you know, we also use another word. Someone said
Nationalization.
Yeah, right. Portable, no?
Adaptability, sir.
Sorry, adaptability. Adaptability. Yes.
Sir, if there are some modification or some changes in further, then there should not be major work to do in it.
Adaptable is a kind of concept like that way. You know, normally you have your website and your website is used by your old customers, and your old customers are very happy with that UI. And you also have new customers. A new customer wanted something like a different UI. So if you try to convert the whole web UI into modern UI according to the new customer size, don't think your old customers will be facing a problem to use their website.
Yes.
Okay. So during that time, can you give freedom to your customers to choose? Do you want to use a classic view or do you want to use a modern view? शायद आपने कुछ वेबसाइट के पास जाके देखा होगा. For certain website says classic view and current view. So when I select classic view, it gives me the classic view, which was exactly similar like a 6 years before web UI. And modern view, which would be something different. So it is exactly your website was previously created using HTML, JavaScript, CSS, and jQuery. Classic view. But now you also created the front end of that website by using React. So you are routing all those things. So does your website is ready for such kind of adaptability? That is what we will talk about it. Second thing, adaptability. If you build your website using REST API, listen, if you build your website using REST API, can this REST API will be consumed in a mobile app? If you develop your web API, can this web API will be used in a existing ASP.NET application? If you already develop a web API, can this web API also will be used in PHP applications? So is your application adaptable for different devices? Is your application adaptable for different technologies? So nowadays, I really observe that there are some applications where there are certain web API, membership web API, they have developed using Java technology. And their product catalog they develop using something called .NET technology. And the order processing logic, they are completely implemented by using Node.js. And still the application work as a one single application. So I would say, since my application has been designed, okay, since this whole application has been designed using microservices architecture, my application is adaptable for future enhancements. Are you getting? This is what exactly we call as a non-functional e-commerce. See, this all kind of concept look very interesting when you think e-commerce application in front of you. And from e-commerce application, yes, that is right, that is right, that is right. Your thinking really goes in a positive direction. Understood? Yes. So this is the way we talked about your non-functional comments, functional comments. So it is now necessary, whatever these informations are available, can you just take these all informations and make a perfect document? Remember when I was trying to show certain website here, I was just trying to use my website, my repository, and under this repository, actually, I have a lot of repositories created. I'm just looking for something here, tele e-commerce. And when I just look on this website, I don't know whether for this website, I really created certain documents. No, I think I haven't kept it here. Let me just go back. Last time, what was the website I was, yeah, eKrushi project. If I open that eKrushi project website, if I look around this simple document, can you see it's a one simple text document? Is it a text document look like? Yeah. This kind of document we actually call as a SRS. So if you are following software engineering principles, so you try to document your information according to SRS document. So that document requires certain major points you need to capture. First, what is your document? My document is system requirement specification document. Next, who are the actors? Or sometimes we also use word called stakeholders. Okay. Sometimes we use word called actors, or sometimes we use word called stakeholders. You know what is the meaning of stakeholder? Stakeholders. Yes. whenever you go for online trading, so during that time, you also try to purchase certain shares of one of the company, and you also become at small level the owner of that company. Am I right? Your money has been invested by purchasing those shares. You become an owner. So like that way, if this is the e-commerce application you're trying to create or e-Krushi application you're trying to create, who are going to be benefited by this application? So for example, this is a e-Krushi application I am trying to create. So I just defined these are the people who would be benefited by this application. So I'm calling them as a actors or stakeholders. Then title, e-Krushi Seva. Team, customer, because customer is very important. Without customer, we may not be able to create this document. Business analyst, quality assurance team, system analyst. Objective, what is the objective of this document? This application is made for farmers. With the help of this application, farmers find solution, okay, on the plant disease. Also, farmers purchase various products as per his requirement. Okay. What is the scope of this document? The ordering process will be made simpler and more effective for the farmers. What is the scope of this document? What is the scope of this complete process? The farmers will be able to examine their order history and may cancel their orders. This service will be accessible only in India. You define the scope. Overview. Anyone can use this portal. Browse the available products. But in order to purchase or place order, the user need to log in using their unique credentials. This proposed system can be used by any Navy user. It does not require any educational level for the person to use a website or any experience or any technical things in the field of computer. Correct, no? That is what you are trying to write. And then you are defining your functional requirements. Now I'm writing functional requirements. So whatever points right now from e-commerce application point of view, I gathered here. Yes, here. Now, can you write elaboratively about each and every point? And might be 2-3 lines, 2-3 lines, 4 lines, 5 lines. Make your concept much more clear so that this information will go to the analyst team. So that this information will go to the design team. And with the help of this document, your design team will be come up with the design. That is the main expectation of this particular SRS document. If this SRS document is not been properly captured with the perfect requirements, then whatever work you do further is just going to create something like a cascading effect of failure. You know, there's a concept called dominoes. Domino effect, you know, domino effect. Dominoes are kept. If one domino just fell on another domino, I think everything gets failed. So that's why in whole this particular software engineering, your requirement gathering is very, very important. Because whatever information gathered, if that information not properly gathered, your developers will do some other work. And that is not exactly what software will be expected by your customers. So you have to do a lot of brainstorming on these activities. So for example, now I'm going to have an exercise for all of you. So what will be the exercise for you? Once you come back, I would suggest, we would be able to write this particular functional requirements for e-commerce application. Correct, no? And can this functional requirement document will be pushed to the GitHub repository of your repository using git command. So that whatever we learned today, that git commands, that git repository, and plus creation of this document will be perfectly implemented, and you will be much more confident enough to go for it. And why can't we use that our afternoon time for this? What do you think? Correct, no? Now, after going through all those things, what do you think? Is it really looking like a theoretical topic now? Now you find, sir, I think thinking itself is going to be a challenging job for us because we never did such kind of figures. You just tell me what is the class to be written. I will write the class for you. Okay. You'll say, okay, you just ask me to write a function. I will write a function for you. You just ask me, write a CRUD operations. I'll write the CRUD operations with connection object, command object, adapter object, entity framework, hybrid. I can do all these things. But But I think this SRS documents are मेरे बस की बात नहीं. At this level, you are going to make yourself differentiate from artificial intelligence to human intelligence. And if some kind of jobs will left in the industry, which will not be touched, that is something called analysis design. Okay. And here we will have all these things. Most of you might have realized, even if you just type one simple text, you will get a perfect source code implemented in ChatGPT. Correct, no? And almost 99% that code just works as it is. But if you try to gather the requirement for your customer and you ask, please create a SRS document for that thing, they may create a SRS document, but that SRS document not exactly capturing the requirement of your customer, because every customer is different and every customer's requirements are different. Your ChatGPT is just collecting a lot of material and doing R&D, doing some kind of like a, okay, neural networks, okay, deep learning, and coming with some kind of document. That document may have a lot of permutation combinations, but not exactly the meaningful thing what your expectations are there from the customer. So these are the human capabilities. Cognitive intelligence will be always going to prevail in this world. So I'm just trying to tell you that information. So I would like to see you can write this document, but let me just show you how that particular document was created. So shayad a way of writing thing, admin, employee, visitors, agriculture doctors, customer care. So what we are trying to, I think we are identifying who are the users, and from that user's point of view, we are writing certain points, no? What is their expectation? What is their expectation? So same thing for e-commerce application point of view also, we would like to write that same kind of document. So who are going to be our users? Accordingly, we would like to create that document. So I'll share that document also, mostly once you come back. Because but before that, I wanted, see, maintainability. How do you maintain your application? Availability. How to make your application available? Portability. Okay, accessibility. I'll share this document with all of you. So this is the way, in this particular second session, I introduce you software product, software process, and software practice, which are the points of your software engineering. In that thing, I also explain about something called waterfall model. I also introduce something called Agile Manifesto. I explained Agile Manifesto majorly focuses more on product rather than documentation. Correct, no? And the kind of process being followed, we find it actually uses the process that is something called as your DevOps, where there's a continuous development is going on and there's a continuous deployment is happening. So developers are also working, testers are also working, at the same time operation engineers also working. Purana zamana mein kaisa tha? When the analysts are actually doing some kind of analysis work with the customer, no? So all our developers are enjoying their party and everything at Mahabaleshwar. Think like that. Because our domain experts are gone to Dubai and they will be staying there for 7 days for requirement gathering. Now there's nothing work to do. So project manager has organized one trip, social gathering in Mahabaleshwar, and we're enjoying over there. And after that, requirement gathering document has been created and the team will come back. Now your team is going to out. Now designers will be working. Developers are still enjoying Mahabaleshwar. And those analyst people are going to Mahabaleshwar. And when the design is ready, then developers are going to work. And testers are still enjoying Mahabaleshwar. And the development is done. Now testers are working and the developers are going to Mahabaleshwar. And there are a lot of bugs has been found. And the bugs has been given to whom? Developers too. Now developers is again coming back and doing the development and again giving the testing. But testers are not allowing the product to be released because there are a lot of bugs available. I think that is what is the problem of the waterfall model. This problem has been resolved by spiral model, and whose ultimate uses is nothing but your agile methodologies. So that we would like to see practically in our tomorrow session going for implementation. Understood? Yes. So these all kind of points, whatever I discussed has been properly organized and just kept it here. For example, actually, I would like to tell you the zCruci application, whatever been created, is still public repository. This repository is been done with me, by my students. There are a lot of students are there. These are students who are working along with me. The scope of the document has been defined. It is totally developed using C# language, completely web API developed using C# language. You can clone it also, completely working. Database point of view, you can see CR diagrams. Okay, you can really go back and try to see, create DB SQL file for that eCruci application. What are the kind of tables we really created? And some sample database we wanted to maintain. So can you find there's a sample DB created just to know, because to make this application working for testing point of view requires sample data. So can you get your sample data here? Like Mansar store, Rajgurunagar store, Narayangau store, Karegaon store, Junnah store. So I'm from Mansar. So I'm just keeping the information here. And now I really created the data and give the data so that this data I would be able to use it for testing my application. So some data has been kept. Same thing. Might be for this application, we wanted to write certain store procedures. Store procedure. MySQL store procedure. So I'm just trying to tell you, I think this particular project templates will help you to work for your CDAC project and try to see, you will also have your own repository like this, where your SRS document will be there, user stories will be there, your product backlog will be there, your sprint related things will be there, your source code will be there. You see source code, .NET API, might be your API, billing API, might be controllers, views, models, billing controller. Could you get billing controller? It is calling services method, add bill. So this has actually been taken from something called billing service. So can you see the folder structure here? Repositories and services. And under repository, you might find your database connectivity code would have been there. I hope you learned this kind of code in your .NET, correct, no? AO.NET. MySQL command parameters, execute query, non-query. So complete project. I think this will help you to think about, if you really want to get ready for your placement point of view, you can use it. Very good. Arif is saying, you can take this project and submit this project as your final project. I don't mind, okay. It's a public repository. Okay, no? If you could understand everything about it, good. You could explain, good. You can make a submission very well. But whenever you go for your interview, and during that time, they will ask you a question about, tell me how this code works. Tell me why you created this service here. So during that time, if you haven't studied this project very well, then you will be caught. So no worries.
You will be just go through your SRS document.
Yeah, I don't mind. Okay, there are a lot of projects there. One of them is eCruci project. Again, there's one more project is available here, which is nothing but TFL assessment, online examination system. TFL portal, training companies portal. So for training companies portal, correct, no? What are the system requirement specification document? So here all the information has been captured. Function requirements, the capabilities, right? And the implementations point of view. If I just go back and try to show you inside, solution, UI solution, React based, Angular based solution, DB solution, pattern just keeping as it is. I think that is the kind of pattern you should pick up from this particular project, and you would be able to reproduce for your own domain. Understood? Good. So how was the second session? I hope that second session also been effective and you really understood this particular software engineering in a proper way and you didn't feel bored. I hope we are trying to compare with the realistic scenario and this theoretical topics together. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So can we come back after 1 hour? 1 hour, no? If I'm not wrong.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And in that 1 hour, I think I like to see if you could able to use GitHub, you would be able to create a Git repositories. And if it is possible, using Git commands, you would be able to do some kind of Git push, Git commit. That is what we like to see. Correct, no? And if you face any kind of problem, I will be there to help you. And at the same time, you will also spend your time for creating SRS document for e-commerce application. And finally, each and every person's SRS document, if they create, they would be able to submit this document to me to my mobile number. So that I understand really people are doing something. Correct, no? So let me just do one thing. I wanted to see today's work you will submit to me. Here is my contact number. And on this contact number, I wanted a small text document, correct, no? Which will contain your SRS document that will be sent to me. This is my number, 9881735801. Please write down this number because this number will be helpful for you for your future point of view. I'm so happy. Almost for 24 years, I've been continuously been in this particular field as a trainer, as a mentor, and we still connected with a lot of students and we discuss on the latest things. Even sometimes those students who were there for CDAC courses, now they own their own companies. And these people normally do ask question, Ravi sir, do you have some good candidates to whom we could recruit within ourselves? So even that communication goes on. And at the same time, I also learn from them because they are actually currently working on the latest technology. So keeping myself connected with them, actually I also learn a lot of things from this thing and keeping me upgraded. So I also love to see that in future, today you are learning from me, tomorrow I will learn from you. And this particular contact number will help us to keep ourselves connected. Okay. So we are trying to set a bridge between mentor and mentee. But definitely, I would love to see you would send a text document. Understood? We'll do it in the afternoon session. So thank you very much. Anyone has any question before we leave? Or you could ask me a question after the break. Mostly you are hungry now. मेरा भेजा बहुत खाया होगा शायद अभी. Now you really require food. Okay, no worry. Let's meet at 1:30, no? Yes?
Yes, sir.
So 1:30 will again come back. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, sir.
Thank you.